Step on the ice and pull your sliders. One final announcement. After these games are played, after the final one's played, we will have another brief meeting to discuss and go over for tomorrow's gold and bronze medal games for both genders. We have decided we're going to hold that meeting here in this arena because we can space everybody. It's not dark right outside, and we can use the microphones. That's all. So keep that in mind. If your game finishes early, you'll have to hang around. Any questions otherwise? All right, the ice is yours. Good luck with curling. You have 1 minute to begin your game.
All right. Hello and welcome to the men's and women's semifinals of the Junior National Championships. Tonight our feature game will be Team Casper versus Team Wendling on sheet 3. We also have 3 other games going on. On sheet 2 we will have Team Tuma versus Team Oldenburg, and on sheet 4 we will have Team Strauss versus Team Jones. Team 5, sheet 5, Team Goranova versus Team McDonald. The winners of these games will move on to the final of the Junior National Championship for their respective sides.
5 seconds, I think we're pretty much set.
And the loser of each game will go on to the bronze medal game tomorrow.
Oh, you're good to throw.
Those games will be at 10 a.m. Central Time. Because Team Casper went undefeated through the round robin, they will have hammer here.
One.
So we'll see Team Wendling throwing first.
Rock.
Charlie Thompson sliding out. Looking for a close guard, if not top 12.
One. Gotta be over, boys.
We got it.
You can hear the sweepers calling out 1, so it's going to be a
Really
pretty high
gotta
guard.
go.
We got it.
Hard. A little more for curl. Great sweep. Nice rock.
It's very high.
Good start to the game. These men teams have had a little bit of a break today. They haven't played since the morning draw at 8 a.m. Yeah.
Curl.
3 of the women's teams played at noon today. Team
gotta
Jones
curl
was
at
in
some
a
point.
tiebreaker at 4 p.m. So they have been on the ice pretty recently.
Pretty recently, yes.
Haven't had much of a break, but I'm sure they had plenty of time to eat, rest up, and have their meetings before coming into the semifinals today.
Yeah. From this guard.
Looks like we have a nice corner guard put up by Coleman Thurston.
Seeing some aggressive play to start out, which is pretty exciting.
A lot of teams, especially later in the week, like to pounce early, make their statement early in the game.
Right.
Austin's. 4.
Because the men had round robin play with 1 pool, they did not have to throw a last shot draw to determine hammer, and they each got 10 minutes just to throw whatever they wanted, warm up the sheet, not have to worry about practicing a certain draw path.
Yep.
So it's likely we'll see the whole sheet is broken down evenly.
Yeah.
May change up how some shots are called. Maybe why we see some of this aggressive play right away, because the whole sheet is fresh and ready.
It's pretty warmed up, and these teams are pretty used to the ice by now, with especially the men. They've been here playing for 2 more days in comparison to the women's team.
Yeah, and they've been playing since
Top 4.
Sunday.
Yep. It's been a long week for them.
It has. There were more women's teams than men's teams this year at Junior Nationals. Because they actually broke past 10 teams, there's 12 junior women's teams. They split into 2 pools.
Yep.
And with that, since they had 2 different pools, the head-to-heads can't really cross over since you're not playing against someone that you played against earlier.
Right.
So the women's teams did have their classic 9-minute practice with a draw shot to determine who got hammer.
Yeah.
Weight's good. 4, 4, 5.
Looks like both teams were successful on their
Who's rock?
second shots at the ends as well.
4.
Great start by both leads.
John's
Absolutely.
in the pin.
Slow it down. 4.
Charlie's.
West
Four.
calling for Austin Carlson to throw another draw under the guards, preferably
here?
this time in the top 4.
Whoa.
They'd like to make a pretty straight line between all the rocks.
Sorry about that.
Dude, touch it.
And it looks like there might have been a bit of a touch of the rock.
Since the rock was burned past the hog line, the opposing skip gets to decide where they think the rock would end up, or if they would just like to remove their stone.
Yep.
Looks like Danny chose that since it was so late in the path of the rock that it probably didn't do much. And so he's just going to leave it where it ended up.
Yep. Which is more common than just removing the rock from play, I would say.
Definitely. However, if the rock was burned between the hog lines, you would actually see the rock be pulled immediately.
Yes.
And that's just part of the rules.
Yep.
Typically, it's on the player who did it to call it out on themselves.
Absolutely.
But most of the time, you can visually see it happen.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to hide it if you were to try to.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The run back was called for Sam Strauss, but definitely a good plan B just to make sure you get rid of that center guard.
Do we all peel the guard and roll center just to get rid of their side?
Now we'll see West call just to replace that.
One right now. 2.
John.
Whoa, whoa.
Charlie.
Whoa.
Receivers are calling one out of
Charlie.
hand, which means that it's
one.
a high guard
Whoa.
being just
Whoa,
over
never
the
mind.
hog
Overall.
line. Looks like it is coming a little bit deeper than.
Never.
Then they were planning on it.
Yes.
Good rock.
Looks like they didn't quite curl enough, so there will be
I like it.
a hit available for Team Casper. They'd preferably try to roll a little bit under the guard to not leave a hit back.
Right.
But I think their main goal is to get rid of that yellow that's on the forefoot.
Whoa. Oh. Carol.
And here Danny call for curl. So this ends up.
Okay.
It will straight jam. It removes the yellow from the forefoot,
I like
which is
this,
a little
John.
better in the case of Danny needing to draw on his last.
Right.
Just control.
There are 2 reds in the house, which leaves an open opportunity for a 2 for Danny to score this end.
Absolutely.
Clean.
Trying to look for some
Close.
throwing. They're looking for
Yes.
a roll under the center guard.
Yes. Hard.
Gotta go hard.
It's really hard to hold this one
Hard to
here.
roll. Hard to roll.
They want to make sure they stick in the
Okay,
house.
that'll work, John.
We will just nose it.
They will be sitting 1 and 3
Okay.
now.
He wants to roll under center. Okay.
See Ethan Sampson in the hack.
Yeah,
Vice for
nice
Team
control.
Casper. They're looking to throw control weight, flop under the guard a little bit, and get 2 reds buried.
Right.
Danny calling sweep right away.
Hard.
They definitely make sure they're by the guard. The key is to try to stick around in the house. You don't necessarily need to roll under. They'll do just that. They won't roll, but they do get the rock, and they're sitting 2 with hammer.
Nice place to be.
Definitely. See West call for the little hit and flop. They might not be shot after this, but with the placement, it might be enough to make Danny peel that center guard.
I agree.
Whoa.
Clean. Clean. Austin.
Calling the outside sweeper on, trying to make this rock
Really
curl
hard.
over a little.
Hard. Little tick. Whoa. That'll work. Great rock.
Got a little lucky there with the rub off into the rock.
Yeah.
Works out for them. Pretty much make the nose hit.
Yep.
They do
Control.
move over that
Give me
front
a
yellow
left.
that was biting the 12-foot, which makes the intern draw a little bit easier if it were to be there.
Whoa. Off.
Here, Danny calling for curl.
Hard to stick.
They want to make sure they stick around here. And they will.
Okay.
Good shot.
Nice sweep there by Sam Strauss to bring that rock back over to stick.
You just touch more. John, can you grab stabilizer?
Yeah.
Looks like Wes is going to try to hit and roll off the red that was just thrown by Ethan.
Just control here.
Preferably want to land underneath the center guard, I'm sure, but he could also roll all the way across the house to behind the corner and sit in front of the other redstone.
Yeah, he's definitely got a couple of options here with good outcomes.
Yep. Close.
Wall is clean. Wall clean.
It's clean.
Whoa! Whoa!
Whoa!
Hear them calling
Look at
off.
curl.
Calling to sweep for curl.
Hard curl. Hard curl.
They hit it thin. They still have a chance for the double.
They still,
That's fine.
but even too thin for the double there.
Yeah.
They did get rid of the redstone, which is definitely part of plan A.
Yes.
Don't want to go by them and set up a chance for Team Casper to get a 3.
I like there.
Right.
Yep.
And he's going to throw the intern come around the center guard.
Yep.
Probably want this one to be top 8, maybe biting top 4. Not too deep where it'll cut out the scoring area for himself. He'd preferably not let Wes throw a freeze to it and outcount the red that's in the side of the 8-foot.
Right.
And want to leave it so Wes doesn't have too much of an option but to freeze or even come around the one that Danny's about to throw.
Yeah, exactly.
Line's pretty good. Little tight.
Here Ethan call it that the line's good.
Want top
If
8.
anything, on the tight side, so you'll see the inside sweeper
Curl.
stay there. So
Hold
they switch
on.
their
Switching
minds.
to
Whoa.
deciding that there's
Whoa.
room.
No, you're all
Looks
good.
like the
No,
rock might have
never.
been slightly heavier than they were anticipating.
go back.
Maybe
You gotta be
that's why
back
they
12
had to
now.
switch the line call.
Hard, Sam.
They want to bring
Keep
this back
going
as far as
back as you go.
possible,
As far
not
as
to.
they can,
Keep
yeah.
going.
Otherwise, they'll
Okay.
let Wes sit closer to the button and maybe have trouble getting rid of it.
Right.
Both these rocks, the red rocks, are pretty much fully buried. There's no easy hit available, so we'll see Wes call to come down to the rock Danny just threw. If he's anywhere solidly buried and close to that red, it's going to
Just
be
freeze on
pretty
this
hard
one
for
here.
Danny to get more than one.
I agree.
What time
Yeah.
do you like?
If he doesn't make it perfect, though, it does put a 3 into play for Danny as well. So.
Definitely.
Okay.
I think as long as Wes lands behind that center guard, we'll
Right.
see probably max of a 2 being scored.
Yes.
Where is it? Austin's rock. Austin's rock. Whoa, careful, careful.
Austin!
Careful, take a look. Austin's rock, yep. Hard,
Going
guys.
on the outside sweep for Austin here
Got me
to
full 8.
make the rock
Austin's
move
rock,
over.
whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa.
They want to make sure they get behind the center guard.
Down
Austin's
2.
rock.
Down 2. Yes.
Come on, hard, hard, hard. Austin's rock, hard.
Wade looks very
hard, guys,
close.
hard, one sweeper.
Sweepers are going to try to
Austin,
carry it as
hard,
far as
boys.
they
Hard,
can to get
Austin.
it there.
Really gotta go.
It's a really
that's-
nice placement.
A really nice shot by Wes Wendling.
Great communication between John and the sweepers as well to make
Hit it
sure
back
that they
often.
had the right line
Play
and
peel.
didn't oversweep it.
Yeah, that was a great team shot. For sure. Lots of communication.
So that you really try to curl it and do this.
There seems to be two
No,
ways
you're
that Team Casper could come after this. They could come with the in-turn, try to cross the face and tap it out the back. Or come with
Rock and
the
a half.
out-turn, see if they can curl past the guard and tap it out as well.
I think I like the out turn.
That was my
If you ever
instinct
try
too.
it, yeah.
Even though it's over-buried, it's more of a natural tap to
Yeah.
that direction.
Absolutely.
And there will be a subtle drag by coming in with the in-turn. But it looks like
You're
with
right.
that ice, they're choosing to just try to pick
To
it.
try and, yeah.
There is not much space between the yellow and the red, though.
Right.
So there's a high chance they might actually catch the red on the way by, and it might end up being just a score of 1.
I agree. I think playing the pick and playing the draw get you the same outcome here.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you may as well try that that out turn.
Tap, yeah.
Just throw like a back line. You don't need to remove the red from the, or the yellow from the house, sorry. Just into the 12-foot.
And the rocks are moving a lot, and he doesn't have to move that yellow a ton to even get second shot. So
They are. It looks very close.
Close, yeah.
Right by the guard, it's going to be close.
Okay, that's fine.
It's a good shot.
Yeah,
One
they
red.
hit it pretty thin, and it did go right into the red.
Yeah.
I was wondering if it was
I think it
even
was always
there.
a shot for 1, maybe.
Yeah. All right, well, that would be a score of 1 for Team Casper, so they'll lead 1-0 going into the break.
Oh, great. The show's starting.
Come on. Just trust me. Oh, trust you, like with the dollar oysters.
I don't think those were oysters.
You survived, so...
Wait, we can't go that way.
Watch this. They'll think we're VIP. Wow. He does think we're VIP. And backstage. Trust me now?
I never doubted you. I did for a second, but it's gone now. I trust you.
The all-new Sienna. Toyota. Let's go places.
Yep. Top 8.
All right,
Top 4.
we're back with end 2 of this semifinal between Team Casper and Team Wendling. Last end, we saw Team Casper set up to get at least a 2, and Wes made a really, really nice freeze to force Danny to throw a difficult shot, and they ended up only getting 1. Team Casper did.
Yep.
So I think that's a pretty successful outcome for Team Wendling.
Yeah, absolutely.
See Team Casper throw top 4. Not going to want to deal with any aggressive play to the middle this early in the game.
Right, yeah. Nice start by Coleman Thurston on the Casper rink. And we have Charlie Thompson throwing his first rock of the end.
1.
John.
Calls for a corner guard.
Gotta be here,
So
boys.
the Super's really working hard to drag this one over.
Hard over. Over off, though.
Want to bring this as deep as they can.
Great shot.
It is pretty high up, so if there were to be a rock underneath it, you could probably get to it pretty easily.
Yeah, absolutely.
Depending on where this one goes from Coleman Thurston, we might see a second corner guard being put up.
Corner guard, yeah.
Two.
Get a tight 3. Want a tight 1. 2.
3. Good 2.
Super seemed to like the weight.
Line
Saying it's a
only.
good 2.
Heavy cleaning it.
Danny calling for the outside sweeper. Trying to make this curl over. They really want to cross the center line. They'll do just that.
Okay,
It's
good.
a nice pair by Coleman.
Yeah, absolutely. Great start.
You like this?
See Charlie Thompson sliding out.
3.
Charlie Thompson's one of the team members of the recent Youth Olympic Games team.
He is.
6.
Austin's.
5. 5. 6.
I like right here.
I think it's about T. 6.
A little bit.
Well, 7, 6.
Little finish. Yep. Whoa. Stop. Great rock.
Looks like it's not quite Barry, but really nice draw weight there by Charlie Thompson. Just above the tee line. Danny's choosing to ignore this stone and have Sam Strauss draw right under the center guard again.
No, I think 15.
Most likely just because that yellow is so open and that corner guard's so high.
Yeah.
They don't feel too much of a threat from it.
Right.
Especially with their rock sitting right there on the button.
Yep. Top 12. Yep.
Here the sweepers yelling top 12, 3.
Line's good. Line's good.
It's a little lighter than they're
At best,
hoping for.
yeah, at best you might see this at the top of the house. They did come off.
Sweepers may be reassessing what the weight is.
Judging by the way it curled, it really ran straight for a while.
Yeah.
So it's not going to lose weight till really late now. Does just chip off the one on the button.
I like this. Just normal.
Looks like you can see most of this rock now.
I believe so.
Here Westside Pro side, you hit the guard.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense to me. A little tight, that's okay.
Right.
It'll be pretty hard for Team Casper to guard both those sons anyway.
Clean.
Normal.
Clean.
Close.
Close.
Yes, hard, hard. Gotta go hard.
Yes,
Try to
hard.
shoot
Come on.
hold this line.
Hard.
Make sure it gets
Look
by
at
the
like
red.
it's close.
Whoa.
Just skinnies by.
Great rock.
See if
Makes the
it
double.
won't stick around in the rings. Still a really
really
nice
good,
shot
Austin.
by Austin
Good hold up.
Carlson.
They might have been able to get away with a little less weight and try to stick around on the side.
Yeah, I agree.
But nothing wrong with making sure you get those two off the button because you're going to want your own shot or
Yeah.
chance at a shot to the button at the end of the end. Danny calling for Sam to make a similar shot again. They don't have to worry about coming to one this time. They can just
Top 4.
figure out the way, get top 4 on their own.
Right.
Really close.
Sounds like the weight's already top 4.
Whoa.
Wondering if the team's getting a little surprised by the speed
Back
of the
4.
ice.
Never want
Yeah.
to.
Seems like the last one they also thought was a little lighter than it actually
Coming
was.
down. Coming
Although
down.
this is the trend that we've been seeing all week.
This is true. Team's getting a little surprised on this line.
Yep.
Typically we'd see it about a foot, even
Good.
half a foot more inside of this.
More than, right, where you really
Here's our
see them
feel
glide.
it.
But maybe you're just catching some of the path here, and that's why they continue to move.
Right.
I like this
Nonetheless,
ribbon,
the
this
rock
one
does
out.
stop above the tee line. Nice shot by Sam Strauss.
Definitely, and right behind the guard too. See West call for the peel. Austin Carlson sliding out.
Yep,
Clean.
heel.
Yes.
Yep, hard.
Hard,
Duckers,
Charlie.
Or Duckers.
Charlie Thompson on the sweep.
Whoa, whoa. You're good. Good shot.
I know.
Here John accidentally called Charlie Chris.
It happens.
It does.
Pass really
Chris
nice.
Kirch is their 5th player.
Yep.
He's not playing this game, but he's watching from behind the hack,
Yep.
taking notes and scoring their shots, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Small lad. Kind of lighter handle. Stay close.
Whoa. Carol. Carol. Line's close. Carol.
So, I see a question in the chat about who's doing the
Whoa.
commentary today. It's I'm Chase Sinnott, and we also have Becca Rogers here, Rebecca Rogers. Rebecca
You like
Rogers
this,
is a
or
member of
just
Team
the guard
Strauss
again?
in the women's field.
Just control.
She can't play this year at Junior Nationals because she's 21, and
Yes.
with the
I
age
like that.
requirements being that now you have to be able to qualify for Worlds next season, she's unable to play in this event. But she's here in spirit to cheer on her team.
Yes, absolutely. And here to commentate.
Exactly. She's also the reigning national junior champ.
Yeah,
That's still carrying over from the
true.
previous season.
From, yes, yeah, 2020 in Eau
Close.
Claire, Wisconsin.
Whoa. Curl. Curl. Hard. Really hard. Whoa. Whoa. What just happened?
Sorry about that.
It died like
Right.
crazy.
We saw some confusion there on that shot.
Right to it.
Hear Charlie say it just died like crazy.
I had 15-1.
Hear them say they got a 15-1, which is the time it took the rock to cross the first hog line and then cross the second.
Right. Which seems pretty standard with what we've been seeing for the rest of this week.
I agree. If anything, on the fast side, because the
Yeah.
15-1 managed to tap the rock a little bit.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
That's fine.
Room. No, not Sam. Not Sam.
No.
See that the rock seems to be close. They're saying not Sam, so if anything, they want it to curl a little more. Still have Coleman Thurston on the outside, trying to carve this over.
Yep.
They don't want to
Line's
roll
really
off.
good.
They just want to be frozen right to it.
Right to
Whoa,
it.
whoa, 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 you're there.
Looks pretty good.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Really nice judge.
shot.
Great shot by Ethan. Nice judge by the sweepers.
Yeah, great team shot.
You just like
See
Teal?
Ethan not give
Sure,
Coleman a
Ken.
fist bump. I think he missed it.
Oops, sometimes it happens
Would you
in
rather
the
throw
heat of
this?
the moment.
Just bump.
Whatever works.
Okay.
With as much of a great freeze that was,
Yeah,
it
I have no idea what
did
else to do.
overcurl a little bit.
Just a
Unfortunately.
touch. Yeah.
I don't
It
hate
looks like
the
that
peel.
yellow will always
Quick.
hit the red stone behind it.
Yep.
But the red in front of it's pretty much locked on.
Absolutely.
It'd be hard to remove that stone, especially with the yellow on the side 12.
Yeah.
Will most likely always jam.
Clean. Yes. Whoa. Yeah, hard. Whoa, whoa, you're good.
Looks like they're just going to get the straight peel here. Nice shot by John Wilkerson.
Okay.
Guard the red one.
We'll see that Danny Casper for his first shot this end is going to be just guarding the pile on the forefoot. Right now it's set up pretty well for Casper to force Team Wendling to 1. They're not going to want to mess with those angles too much and give Team Wendling an out of this end.
Right.
Given that they only got 1 in the first, they'd be very happy with a force of 1 here in the second.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll make it an 8-end game.
A little bit of room. No, not Sam right now.
Line's close.
Line's good. Sam can go.
Easy, Sam. Easy, Sam.
Oh,
Oh, on its own.
stay
Looks like the
close,
line's pretty
Coleman.
close. Sweepers like the weight.
Nope. Nope, you're good.
Seems like they'll just let it
Nope.
sit on its own.
Staying off it so it
Hey.
doesn't overcurl.
Exactly. Sometimes teams get a little caught right at the end of the shot because rocks will
Yeah, I
curl a
guess
lot
you're
in the
right.
last few seconds.
And then we have one
So if you
here
get that
too.
outside sweeper on, you might
I don't hate
accidentally get a
that.
few extra inches of curl and actually over curl past the guard that you're trying to make.
Right, you're exactly right.
Especially on that spot right there, crossing the center line.
Crossing center can be dangerous in that situation.
The rock looks like it's not going to move, and then once it gets mostly over, it just whoop.
Whoop. Exactly.
Do we like same thing for T? Okay.
Looks like Wes is calling the freeze to the red on the back of the forefoot. I think this is a pretty nice call. It's going to be difficult to move anything in the center of the house. Running
Right.
that red will probably result in leaving that red in the house as well. So you might end up making the situation worse for yourself.
Exactly.
With that yellow locked in, you make this freeze well, it's going to force Team Casper to make a difficult shot to keep
Hold down.
Where's
Wes
it?
only to 1 point.
You're right.
Yep, gotta go. Charlie's rock.
Charlie!
Whoa. Whoa.
Can you hear them call Charlie on this rock? He's the outside
Okay.
sweeper, so they want to make
It's
it
too late.
curl.
It's gonna crash. Go for curl. Try to roll the yellow.
This rock doesn't ever move off the line. It looked like it might have been a little bit heavy, and that's why
Right.
it stayed there.
Ran a little straight
Put up
with
a high
the
one then.
extra bit of weight on it, I think.
Yep. Yep.
With the ice being as good as it is here at the national championship,
be
it
easier.
tends to be pretty weight sensitive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes even like a foot of weight makes a big difference on the way these rocks curl.
Maybe just a high one. A high one.
Danny saying that he wants a high 1 here, so a guard just over the second hog line.
I would imagine this guard will favor the left side of the red they already have as a 3 yard.
I would agree, yeah.
See if they can
Cut
walk off a
off.
draw path as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure if there is a draw on that left side to sit to, but they'll do their best to try to
Yeah.
get rid of it.
Right, if there is one, yeah.
Mine's pretty close. Okay, put it here.
Okay, the sweepers say that's a 3 already.
Go around.
Close, yep. Yep.
It's really starting to curl.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You're going to.
Looks like it's on the red.
Whoa.
They don't want to move that one.
Just let
They
it
like
sit,
where that
let it
guard
sit,
is.
let it sit.
Yeah.
I think they also want to make sure they take away
Okay,
that run
that's
back.
fine.
So
Right.
this shot will do.
Yes, it'll get the job done for sure.
I think you have to go this way. And you have
Gives
to
you a
get the
little
negative
better
ice
point of
and then
view.
try to pull it out
I
because
can't
when
quite tell if red or yellow is shot. I've been assuming yellow has been shot.
They're a
but it's
little
actually
bit-
Yeah,
kind of
give
close.
Yeah, that's what I've been
you can
assuming
make it
as
up,
well,
you
but
can
the more that I look at it,
gotta
the
hit here, right?
closer that it
you can
seems.
break it out.
Okay. So I'm going that way.
And then peel plus.
Looks like Wes is going to throw a bullet down here.
Mm-hmm.
Try to hit this yellow on the 12
You
foot.
gotta
Pretty
hit and
solid.
go, like,
Yeah.
You can't go deep.
Go sideways.
That's tough.
I think it's a solid call. You might as well try it.
Yeah, I don't know if there's another option. I think the best secondary option might be trying the wide in turn.
The draw,
And
yeah.
just coming down to that red.
Mm-hmm.
The yellow and red are so close that if red is shot, just touching it should at least give you your 1, if not give you 2.
Right.
You might be able to just finish it over enough to bump it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is a suitable plan B. Or I shouldn't say plan B, but another option.
Another option, exactly.
It's also a shot that doesn't have too much risk with it. You're either
Right.
going to get your 2 or you're not.
Mm-hmm.
Roll if there is any.
Looks close.
Yeah, that's fine. It just fell out.
All right. With the weight, it just
Yep,
moved
1 red.
outward.
That's a good try.
And you hear the call is 1 red, so that's a steal of 1 for Team Casper, and they will lead
Well,
2-0
I don't know,
after
it
the
looks
second.
kinda thin, so I feel like we had to hit thick, but
USA Curling's new logo is now on merchandise. Shop the latest USA Curling collection to show your pride by sporting a hat, t-shirt, sweatshirt, or quarter zip at usacurling.org/shop.
We are back for end 3 of our feature matchup of Team Casper versus Team Wendling. It's one of the 2 semifinals on the men's side. Last end we saw a complicated end. Lots of rocks right on the center line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back 4.
Most of the end it seemed like yellow was sitting 1, but it turns out it was a steal of 1 for Casper.
Casper, yep. Which gives Casper a 2-0 lead going into the third end.
Yeah, we do.
So we'll see him go first. They're going to call a top 4 draw.
Mm-hmm.
They know that Team Wendling is likely to throw a corner guard, so they
Right.
figure they can have a free draw to the 4 foot.
Yeah, throw top 4 first
Yeah.
and then throw your guard after that.
Looks like that's going to be true, with Wes pointing up to the corner guard.
Yeah.
So we'll see Charlie Thompson here throwing a corner guard for Team Wendling.
One.
While the
Really
shot's
gotta
coming
go.
down the sheet, we can do a few score updates on
1,
the 3
2.
other semifinals going on.
Yeah.
Hard
For the other
girl.
men's semifinal, the Team
2.
Tuma and Team Oldenburg are tied at 1
3.
each.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Team Oldenburg has hammer in the 3rd.
You carry, man.
Team
You're-
Strauss
you're
versus Team
overpowered.
Jones. Team Strauss leads
fine.
3-2 after 2.
rock.
They do have the hammer in the 3rd end. And Team Goranova versus Team McDonald. Team Goranova leads 1-0 after 2, and Team McDonald has the hammer.
Lots of close games here tonight.
Really are. Expect nothing less with these teams getting through the round robins.
Exactly.
2.
These are the top 8 teams.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2.
Line's good. A little bit light. Got it, Carol. Carol, yep.
Many of these teams are familiar faces too from previous years of juniors.
Absolutely, yeah. Most of these teams being very experienced. It's definitely not their first junior nationals.
Good.
We see a pretty similar end being played this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very similar setup.
See, West is choosing to go into the corner guard again. Kylie Thompson sliding out.
Austin.
I'm going to say Austin's rock, so this rock has a little bit of room to move.
John!
Switching over to John, the inside sweeper. They want to hold the line.
Whoa, you can leave it high. Leave it high.
Seems like the rock isn't going to make it quite to the house.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
Wes
that's fine.
indicating for the sweepers to leave it high.
And that's a good plan B.
That's not bad. 2 corners, never hurt anybody.
Sometimes it's nice to save your sweepers a little bit. If you know the rock is going to make it to the house or not easily, might as well let them take a little break and sit up, especially if it's a decent second option.
Absolutely.
Sam Strauss sliding out, looking to draw right down to the rock that Coleman placed on the forefoot.
This is looking very similar to the last end.
It really is. Almost identical so far.
Just top 12.
Calling Coleman to sweep. He's on the outside, so they're trying to make this rock curl in. Not calling straight to make sure it's by.
We'll
does
get by, but won't quite make it into the house.
But I think that's a okay outcome for them.
You ever hate
They
this?
mainly wanted to make sure that they create this line of red guards.
Right, exactly.
This shot by Sam Strauss was basically meant to be a guard just in the house.
Yes, yeah.
You see a lot of teams do that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they're fine with the end opening up a little bit. They'll make one of their guards, quote unquote, be in the house.
Be in the house, right.
Whoa. On its own.
Austin throwing a peel here. Looks pretty close.
That'll work.
He will remove one stone and roll the other to the other side of the center line. It'll uncover the Team Casper stone on the forefoot.
But they definitely have the opportunity to create a Christmas tree here, as we call it.
Christmas trees, when you create a diagonal line of 3 stones, they're half bearing each other.
Yep.
You can really realistically only remove 2 of them.
Yep.
At most.
Mm-hmm.
With that red moving over, it does also block the intern draw path around the corner guards.
You're right, yeah.
Which is not ideal for Team Wendling. I think they were hoping to get a little more bounce on that red to create a triple stack.
Yeah.
Top 12. Yep. Yeah, watch good. Watch good. Top 8.
Sweepers calling top 12, top 8.
Sweeper's pretty happy with the weight.
Top 4.
Just sweeping for line here.
And we'll make sure they're by this guard. They will just touch it on the way by.
It's still a pretty good outcome.
Definitely.
Just.
I like this.
It's hard to get rid of both these reds and stay in the house.
Right.
So it looks like Wes agrees with that because he's not going to call the double. He's actually going to call a hit and roll inward. It'll leave the red sitting there, but the red will be in the open.
Right.
And they'll be under the guards. So I think it's a pretty good idea.
I like this call a lot.
Curl.
And I like the weight that they're throwing.
Me too.
Really hard, John.
Keeping it light. There's
Really
no
hard.
need to throw excessive weight at it, especially when you're trying to make it around a tight guard. That red rock actually bouncing further than I would have expected it to.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's one of those good examples of sometimes you don't need to throw it hard to make the shot. They threw about board weight, maybe light control, and it almost made the double.
And you're right.
They're gonna hair less.
I think it's important, an important thing for teams to keep in mind that it's more so about the angle that you hit the rocks at than it is the weight that you hit them with.
Right.
And Samson sliding out.
Whoa. Close, yep.
Looking to try to hit and roll under the red center guard.
Yep, yep, yep. Yep, whoa.
That's close.
Yes. No roll.
Hear Ethan yelling no roll from the other end of the sheet. But it will roll.
It will roll, yes. Catching that rock a little bit thinner than they were hoping to and just over-rolling a bit into the open. But Wes is going to ignore it and choose to come under the center here.
It does stay in the house, and the Team Wendling is not going to be throwing the hit on them. So it looks like there will be points scored this end.
Absolutely.
I think after that steal last end, Team Wendling is really looking to get a 2 out of
Come on,
this.
guys. Austins.
The setup is
Hard,
looking
boys.
good for that to happen.
Gotta be top 4.
With the double corners and the 2 reds kind of behind the corners is backing. If they can get around these, it's going to be difficult for Team Casper to remove it.
Right.
Hard curl. Really gotta curl.
Austin Carlson sweeping for the curl. They want to try to get this buried if possible.
Great sweep, boys. Good work, John.
And
Sorry.
there'll be second shot, but that red rock
Same
in the
weight.
back 8 will still be first
Yeah,
shot.
I think it's same weight.
Yeah, I've
Looks
got
like the-
all of it and a little more.
Okay.
There's our answer. I was going to say it looks like it's roughly edge on edge, and it
Yeah.
sounds like it is that. So Ethan Sampson with his second of the end. He's going to try to flop a little bit under the center guard. Based on where he said it was, I don't think he can roll too much.
Yeah,
But burying any is good because then Team Wendling will be able to roll in on their own.
exactly.
Yep.
Sam down on the sweep.
Hard curl.
They want to make sure they're by the
God.
reds in the back.
Hard.
They will be. Will they stick on the side? No. Unless it spins back. Oh,
It
it did.
It tried. Yeah, it certainly tried. Someone should have been there to sweep that spin.
Yeah. Sometimes when you see those rocks spinning near the edges of the house, you can sweep the inside and it'll actually make the rock grab that
Right.
and spin back in. I see some people sweep those. It looks kind of funny because they're sweeping the side, not where the rock's going.
Not where it's
but
going.
yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it works though.
It's true.
Whoa, careful, careful.
Honestly,
Don't
not
drop
too
it.
sure if
Austin,
it's just
drop.
superstition or if it actually does something, but
Yeah,
I still do it every time.
I still do it.
Yeah. Team Wendling looking to try that draw again. This one also just hanging on that line.
Running a little heavy and
Okay.
a little straight here.
We'll stop in the house.
It's
Looks
enough.
like to be third shot.
Yep.
So if that red's biting, it's not going to come
do you
into
like?
play now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Team Casper's already sitting 2, they're going to choose to ignore this stone and try the draw themselves.
Good opportunity for Danny here to put on some pressure.
Just around, right before. Yeah, 1 and 2. What are they, like 15 and a half?
We did see the last 2 shots by Team Wendling, this draw, hang on that line.
Right.
Line's a little
Looks
tight.
like Team Casper is choosing the similar broom.
Line's good. Line's good.
We'll see if it
Through.
runs similarly or not.
Well then.
They do have Sam already on the outside.
Through.
Ethan's saying room.
It does look like there's quite a bit
That's
of room
top 4.
here.
15-2.
It is definitely curling
Always
though.
curl. Yep.
But it is, like you
Yep.
said,
Yep.
very weight
Yep.
sensitive ice.
Hard Barry.
so
Keep going.
Hard.
Keep going.
This
keep
one
going.
being
Keep going.
Nice
keep
top
going.
4 weight. It
That's
did
pretty
come
good.
back.
It did curl, right.
I'm wondering if it was just that weight difference that kept that yellow from moving over.
It might have been. I mean, Wes threw almost 6 feet more than Danny did, and
Even if you could even
you
throw,
get
like,
almost,
back 12.
what,
tap
6
it
or
back
8
here.
inches more of curl?
Just the freeze on top.
Can hear Wes there say that he's just going for the freeze on top. Probably wants to keep half of his rock out in the open to make sure on his second he can come down and actually hit it.
Yep, exactly.
Maybe a touchdown. It's the top. Charlie's rock. Whoa. Austin's rock. Whoa.
Supers seem to think
You
it's
wanna go behind?
close. If anything, they're on its own.
Where is it? For sure 7. Charlie's rock.
John seems to like the line.
Yep, hard. Gotta get
Heard
past.
Charlie say back 4.
I think they're trying to come around it
No,
now,
gotta go.
switching game
Think so.
plans.
Is it
Good.
around? It does rub it on the way by.
Just rubs
That's
it.
okay.
They might get a little piece tucked.
Even if you roll out.
Yeah, it looks like it's
Yeah.
roughly 3/4 open, if not a little more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Throw it.
enough to make Danny want to throw at it.
Yeah.
I feel like if it hooked around anymore, we'd probably see them ignore this stone.
Mm-hmm.
Little more.
Danny calling a little more. He wants to make sure that he does indeed hit this stone and not the red that's in the top 4 foot.
Right, yes, exactly.
If you roll too far, that's fine. I'd rather do that than leave it right there.
Removal of this stone would
Then we'll call this one
result
safe.
in a force for Team Wendling. Probably see him throw the same draw again, assuming this is made.
Whoa. Clean. Clean.
Close.
Whoa.
Curl.
Curl. Curl.
You can hear them calling curl, trying to make sure they grab a piece of this yellow.
Okay.
And they will. They won't stick around, but they are sitting 3 already.
Yeah, mission accomplished on that for sure. They definitely just wanted to get contact with that.
I almost prefer the rollout. If they stuck around in the side 8, they might have just left Wes hit and roll in to get his 1.
That or something to come and sit down to, for sure.
Exactly, definitely.
I took, made sure I took safe. Yeah.
We did just throw the shot. Came up just a tad bit heavy, but really close.
A tad heavy and actually a tad tight.
Tight.
Yeah.
Sweeper's hovering by this one.
Austin's rock, careful.
I don't think they think it's necessarily heavy. I think they just think it's there on its own.
It's there, right.
You see them heavily cleaning now, so they think the weight's pretty good.
Careful,
They're going to stay close and try to place it themselves.
Come on.
Looks like it's close.
It's very close. They just need full 4.
Nice shot, Wes.
Great draw away by Wes here in the third end.
Amazing judge by the sweepers, too.
Yeah.
So that'll be a score of 1 for Team Wendling, and Casper will lead 2-1 going into end 4.
Yep.
The road to Olympic gold begins in Omaha for the nation's top men's and women's curling teams. The U.S. Olympic team trials for curling return to Baxter Arena from November 12th through the 21st. Only 2 teams can berth an Olympic bid from Omaha. Every match is a battle for a spot in Beijing's Winter Games. Get your all-session tickets on August 16th through usacurling.org. Witness medals in the making this November.
We are back with the 4th end of this men's semifinal. Last end, Team Casper was sitting 3 on Wes's last, and Wes made a beautiful draw to the full 4 for his 1 point. And with that, we'll see Team Casper is now up 1 with the hammer.
John! Oh, mine.
Team Wendling here calling the center guard.
Over off! Over off!
Not sure if they're calling 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll find out soon.
Looks like this one's going to be pretty high, so I think we'll probably see a second center guard being called.
I don't mind this.
Coleman Thurston with his
Really
first of the send.
What's good?
1, 2, 2.
Oh, Coleman had a few cousins in this event.
Yeah,
on different teams across the field. His sister also playing.
Yes, you're right, yeah.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Good.
It's cool to see a bunch of different family members in the event.
Curling is such a family-oriented sport to begin with, so it's
Really
so
is.
nice to see family members competing side by side with each other in these competitions.
I know my own brother Bryce played in the U18 nationals a few times.
Yeah, absolutely.
3-2. Gotta be a 2-3. It's there. 3-2. I'm
just gonna clean.
Champion. 3-2. 2. Slow it down. Yep. Johns. Oh. Hard. Gotta go deeper.
It just died.
Okay. You're good.
Sweeper saying this one just died on them.
You're good. That'll work.
I don't even think you can get under the corner. Yeah.
Thinking this way.
Yeah.
Looks like Team Casper's going to come around these two center guards. They are very high up, so I would expect this draw to be more of a top 8 than a top 4 type shot.
Right, absolutely. If they're coming deeper than top 8, Wendling will definitely have an opportunity to probably dig at that rock.
Top 4. Top 8.
Here the Super saying top 4, top 8. Means the weight's pretty much where they want it already.
Yep, hard line. Really gotta go weight.
Sounds like the weight came down on him.
Came down a little bit.
Danny Casper coming out for the assist.
And it looks like they'll get
biter?
almost full 12 out of it, so nice sweep.
It's definitely thanks to Danny's few licks there at
yes,
the end.
it has to be.
Austin Carlson being called to throw the same shot we just saw. This time they probably are looking for that top 4 weight, considering this biter counts basically as a secondary guard.
Essentially a guard, yeah. Just like what you were talking about earlier about how sometimes rocks in the top house can just essentially act as guards.
Definitely. This rock looking pretty close. They didn't quite finish underneath the red biter, but they are underneath the high 1 yellow.
Yeah. But he can get to right here.
If you hear us using numbers throughout the event to describe a spot on the sheet, that's because between the hog line and the back line, there are 10 different zones that the rock can land in.
Yep.
A 1, 2, and 3 are the different guard zones, and then you'll hear 4 through 10 to describe inside the house.
With 7 being right on the T line and 10 being the back of the house.
A 2 would be the center of the guard zone, which is the area between the hog line and the house. And then kind of just filling in the gaps from there.
Yep. And it does vary. A lot of curlers do use the number system just because it's a little shorter, but you also get a lot of curlers who are moving towards just saying top 12, top 8, top 4. So it's really dependent on the team and what they like to use for their sweeping system as well.
A lot of the times you'll hear teams go back to the number system one that's really loud because they're shorter and everyone understands what they mean.
Yep. That's a very good point as well, yeah.
You also see a lot of teams use 1, 2, 3 for the guards and then use the distinction in the house for top 4, top 8.
Yep.
Because 1, 2, 3 don't really, and the guards don't really have a name
don't
other
really
than
have
that.
a name other than guard zone, right. Yeah, that's a really good point.
You might hear high guard or tight guard, but other than that, you'll usually hear the numbers.
Yeah. Some people say like halfway, I suppose, yeah.
You could hear Charlie and John there saying 7, 8.
Yep.
Meaning T-line back 4.
Which is
You'll
a
see.
good weight call, yes. But yeah, the combinations are definitely endless.
I don't think you draw.
I like the feel still. Yeah, so do I.
Team Casper talking about
I like this.
what shot they want to throw. You can hear the front end saying they don't like the draw. So they are going to choose to peel that center guard that was left over from Sam's last shot.
Yep.
Clean.
Clean. You have a piece.
You can hear clean. So they have a piece of the rock. Made perfectly. Nice shot by Sam Strauss. Team Casper throwing the red rocks does have the hammer here. So they're just want to try to keep that center open. They want to make sure that Danny's going to have a shot to get at least his 1 point.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say that that's the key, is to make sure that Danny has a shot for his last.
Exactly. I was just going to mention are those 2 yellows in the forefoot right now, which definitely aren't appealing to Team Casper.
You're
but
absolutely right.
With their biter red there and some of these guards being so high, they definitely feel like they have other options to get to those yellows if they need to.
Yep, very true.
Okay, good sweep. Nice shot.
I think you throw the red back. I don't think it's good enough for him. Yeah.
This guard did seem to hang out more than Team Wendling wanted it to. That'll leave Team Casper with the option to run this red in.
Yep.
They don't need to remove both yellows, but they're going to throw a decent amount of weight, try to get some rocks moving, clear out the forefoot a little bit. I think in their ideal world, they throw a normal weight, it's like around 9.5 seconds between the two hog lines, and roll their shooter onto the house as well. Looks like it's going to be pretty close.
It does look close. Calling yep at the end there.
They don't quite remove both, but they leave one red frozen on the yellow, and the other red spun forward after hitting the stone. I'm not sure if it's a biter. It definitely looks like it from this angle.
Definitely, yeah.
I saw Coleman lean over it to check, and he didn't really say anything, so I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, control.
This red is open, however, so we will see Wes call for a control weight hit.
Right.
Would probably try to flop under the yellow corner they threw on the last stone.
Yes. Clean. 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 Close. Whoa. Curl.
Charlie Thompson just cleaning the stone. Now they're going to try to make it curl. Make sure it's by the top red. Will it get by? It will. See Charlie hopping on one foot to avoid touching any stones.
And all the rocks go. Except for maybe
the
that
biter.
We aren't too sure. We can't
It is?
confirm.
Going like all the way to hit.
It really looks like it's biting though.
It does.
The best spot is.
We might hear from them in a second if he thinks it's on.
Yep.
If I go here.
And then it,
I think if it was off, we might actually see the split from Team Casper right now.
I guess if he
Oh,
comes
you
here,
might
we
be
can
right.
take it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good point.
Because they're ignoring it, I feel like it might be on already.
It might, right.
Looks like they're choosing to throw the out-turn draw on the corner guard, the red corner guard.
Okay.
If this does hang, they might end up doing the split anyway.
Right.
Doesn't hurt to make sure these rocks get on the house.
Yeah.
Main goal here, though, I'm trying to sit under that corner guard, get in good positioning to score there too.
Absolutely.
Whoa.
I like this call.
Whoa.
You can hear the sweepers appear to think it's very heavy.
So might see a tap or split attempt here.
Looks like it's going to be the tap. Rocks are gliding in the house. This might be through.
Moving it all the way to the back 12 foot.
Nice sweep there to try to bring it through the house,
Yeah.
but does manage to hang on.
You tap it out.
Just tee?
Yeah.
I don't hit it. Just here?
Looks like Wes is calling to throw the draw under that corner himself. He's definitely fine with the plan B of coming down to the red that was just tapped to the back 12.
Right.
Just sit right on top of theirs.
Yeah, a couple of good options for him on this shot.
You can hear him actually confirm with the sweepers there that the call is to come down to the red in the back, and I'm sure pro side is light, and you can carve it under that guard.
Yeah.
It's like back 8. We like a 05?
This is Wendling,
Okay, where's it?
throwing his first of this fourth end.
Charlie's rock.
You can hear John calling on Charlie.
Whoa.
Got it, curl!
Hi,
So they want this rock to curl a little bit.
Charlie.
Charlie!
Hi, Charlie.
They really want to make sure they're by this
Austin's
top
rock
red.
now.
Yeah.
Hard Austin. Austin
Switch back
hard.
to Austin sweeping.
Hi, Charlie. Whoa.
They are by the front one. Doesn't look like it's going to quite make it to the back. But if they can get mostly buried, it's going to be a nice spot.
Whoa. Good sweeping.
Looks like they did actually overbury it a little bit here.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit. But with the angle that the red is at, I guess an overbury is not too bad of another option.
Yeah, absolutely.
You like here?
It looks like it is fully buried because they're not going for any sort of hit. The Team Casper looks like they're going to throw a freeze down to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, they're changing it up. They're going to
I'm gonna try and get it underneath the red. Okay.
throw the draw around the red center guard. To get there, though, it looks like they have to go around the high yellow guard.
Oh,
you can see it there now as in the one position just to the right of the center line.
That's so high, though. They have plenty of space to curl after that.
Definitely. I think they will have to cut it pretty close to it in order to get to the center line. But
yeah,
they do that, they should be able to carve plenty fine.
You're right.
The issue is about if they can get caught in between, because there is a gap between the red and the yellow that Team Wendling could throw through to get to a red stone that might be exposed.
Absolutely. Yeah, once they get by that yellow, they're definitely just going to have to push it as hard as they can.
A little bit of room. Close
You can see
line.
a little bit of room. Now it's close for line. So let the inside sweeper stay close.
Line's good. Always curl now.
Sweepers seem to think it's all there. They're not touching it. They do come pretty close to the yellow guard, saying always curl. Meaning they want the outside sweeper to be the one that stays close.
Right in the hole.
They want to try to cover the center line if possible.
Looks like they may. There may be the port like you were talking about.
I think the shot was very close itself, and I think the line would have worked out if they were able to carve it. But because the weight was a little more heavy than they expected, they weren't able to sweep it until very late. And at that point, it was not enough speed to
already sitting
move
down.
it.
You're exactly right. Yeah.
That's fine.
A really solid attempt though at that shot.
Yeah.
That was not an easy shot to make.
No.
Just control.
Control, okay.
Give it touch more, John.
Touch more.
Wes and John talking about this hit, and they choose to throw the intern. It's hard to tell from this angle because the way the port's angled, which is easier, yeah. Because it is very close to the center line guard.
Yes.
But you might not have enough room to get by the yellow guard with the outturn and get also by the red afterward.
Right. Yeah, it looks like the intern here is maybe a little more natural.
As weird as it might look.
As weird, as strange as it looks.
I think Team Wendling is actually okay with rolling out on this shot because of their guard or their rock being fully guarded on the left.
Yeah.
Really sweeping to curl this, and it just ticks the guard.
Good effort on the sweep, though.
It's very close. Because that yellow's fully buried on the left side, we might just see Danny Casper throw the same draw down to the forefoot for his second point.
Yeah, I agree. Well, he might switch up the path.
I think now that that guard's gone, this is the right path to throw.
It's easier for sure.
Easier. They know the path, I'm sure, after their 10-minute practice before the game. I'll actually try to grab a hog-to-hog for this shot.
Idea.
See if we can get a general feel for what the ice speed is. At this point in the game, we'd probably expect between 14.8 seconds and 15.2 seconds.
Yep.
The first of which being with a very light clean, and the second of which being with a decent amount of sweeping.
Sweeping, yes.
All you.
Pretty good ad, should run.
Line's never a problem.
Sweeper's staying close.
Don't think so.
Hold it.
Rock is tracking down this
Fully.
path.
Lightly cleaning it, though, and sweeping now, so it must be
15-1.
close.
We look like we got a 15-1 as well, just like Ethan said.
Good.
Looks like this will end up right in the forefoot.
Great
so
shot.
That is a score of 2 for Team Casper, and they will take a 4-1 lead going into the 5th end.
I don't think there's really one moment that starts a comeback. We have the ability to overcome anything as long as we're surrounded by the right people.
I need a good group of people to trust, to work on my body.
I'll be back and I'll be stronger than ever.
I go, who are you? He goes, I'm the guy that's going to save your life.
Comebacks imply returning to where you once were. I want to go where I've never been.
All right, welcome back. We are in end 5. Team Casper last end had a nice team shot with the draw to the forefoot to get there too. To take a 4-1 lead over Team Wendling. So we will see Coleman Thurston leading us off this end. I believe the shot called was a draw to the top 4.
Yeah. Stay where a bit tight.
Danny calling the line a bit tight.
Good. Top 12. Gotta go. Always Sam. Line's pretty good.
Ethan calling out this rock as top 12.
Line's really good.
They want to make sure this one's in the house.
15-3.
They're expecting Team Wendling to throw a corner guard. Though if this one's in the house, we might see Team Wendling throw a hit and maybe try to blank take the hammer into the even ends.
Yeah, you're right.
We do see Wes motion for a corner guard, so we'll see Charlie Thompson try to match that.
Two, one. Yep. Yep, hard. One. Austin's.
While the shot's coming down, we'll do some score updates on the other semifinals going on. The Team Tuma versus Team Oldenburg. Team Oldenburg is leading 3-1 after 4. Team Tuma will have the hammer in the 5th. Team Strauss versus Team Jones. Team Strauss is leading 5-2 after 4. Team Jones will have the hammer in the 5th end. And Team Goranova versus Team McDonald. Team Goranova is leading 2-1 after 4, and they will have the hammer in the 5th.
Still some very close games out there.
Yeah, no one really getting ahead yet. A lead of 3 or less really doesn't mean too much in curling.
You're right.
Especially with the 5 rock rule available.
Makes it a lot easier for teams with the hammer to get aggressive and generate more than a deuce.
Carol. Line's close. Straight.
I've definitely seen in the past few years the game get a lot more aggressive, a lot more lighter weights, not as much peels and clean houses.
Absolutely.
Usually you only see those clean houses, clear houses when both teams are trying to do it.
You're right. Yeah, absolutely. Which is definitely more exciting to watch, I think.
I agree.
Especially as a spectator.
It's always fun to see a bunch of stones in play, a little more action.
Exactly.
I see Charlie Thompson just cleaning this rock on the sheet. Or John Wilkerson, excuse me. Charlie Thompson just threw the shot.
All the way, John.
Won't quite make the double.
Right.
They don't quite make the roll either, but it's mostly buried, I'd say.
Yes.
See Team Casper discussing how much they can see of the stone. I hear someone say a third. Not too sure who it was.
Okay, so it's pretty buried.
It is pretty buried. They do have to watch out for that red in the back.
Yeah, they have to definitely be careful of the jam here.
A third will be pretty close to hitting the the red behind it. Let's see, it looks like they're coming out with a control, maybe normal weight.
10-5.
10-5. That's good confirmation.
Yes,
it's a control weight.
Absolutely.
Yep. Hard.
Coleman sweeping hard here.
I'm assuming they're going to want to hit this rock pretty thin over top of the one in the back.
So.
Looks close.
Oh,
just by it.
Just by. And won't quite stick around.
But I feel like that was to be expected if you hit it that thin.
If you hit it that thin, yeah. Good shot by Sam Strauss to not jam on that back red rock.
Remove that yellow from play.
Yes.
Austin Carlson now looking to draw behind that corner guard. Roughly the top 8 region. Yeah, the Super's yelling 3. So I think this is just out of the house.
John!
If the outside sweeper on, they want to. Oop, they switch back.
Change their minds.
They want to try to drag this as far as possible. They'd love to at least be in the house here.
All the way.
They'll be very close to being shot.
Great effort by the sweepers there.
Definitely. Just a few inches shy of being shot. But it's behind the guard.
Still like it.
5 rock rule is now over. 5 rock free guard zone.
Yep.
So Danny Casper calling for the peel here.
I like this call, being up 3.
Yeah, I do too. Definitely safe. No need to clutter the front.
Green.
Right.
Green. Good. Green. Good.
Nice shot.
I kind of like this. You're good.
Wes calling for Austin to throw a draw to the other side of the house.
Mm-hmm.
They'll probably be sitting 1 and 3, but it's good to get 2 rocks on either side.
Yeah.
Starts your setup to score your 2.
Yep.
John. I like at least half 8. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You're good, you're good, you're good. Whoa, stop, stop.
They don't want to make this too much of an angle.
Mm-hmm.
You might see Team Casper try to make the double.
Mm-hmm.
It is available.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looks like they'll elect to just hit the 1. They don't need to make the double right now.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, especially being second shot in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, the Super Seal 10-5, so this is a control weight takeout. It'll take about 10.5 seconds for the rock to cross between the 2 hog lines.
Exactly.
Oh. Good.
We'll hit it right on the nose.
Nice shot by Ethan. To sit 1 and 2.
You like this way, John?
Wes Wendling calling for the hit right back, right on the nose. I believe Red will be sitting 1 doing this, but they are definitely going to chase after those 2 stones.
Right.
They don't want to leave any option for Team Wendling to get their 2 or more.
Exactly.
Yes, hard! Hard! Hard, Austin, come on!
Austin really
hard.
Working to keep this rock straight here.
They want this one to land in the house and it'll just roll out.
Mm-hmm.
You'll probably see Danny Casper call to get rid of this yellow stone.
Yep.
They'd love to stick around on the other side, but they'll be okay if they roll out.
Nice
right.
Main goal here is just to make sure they remove the yellow from the house.
Exactly.
Yep. Yep. Yes. Yep. Whoa. Whoa. Curl. 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 Curl.
Danny calling for curl. They really want to make sure they touch this rock.
No roll.
They will. Will they stick around? It's going to be close.
Stick. Good.
It does just stick around.
That was a great sweep to keep that rock around.
These rocks are pretty even.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way to remove both of them in one shot.
Right.
So looks like Wes is going to call for a freeze down to the back one.
Careful, careful. Careful, Austin rock, careful.
Sweeper's cleaning it down the sheet here.
If ever. Careful.
They seem to like the weight.
Yep.
It's very important here to make sure they keep the line good too. A little tap's okay, but you don't want to roll open. You want to stay in front of this red rock.
That'll work.
It will pull up really well.
That's a really great shot.
Freeze is one of the hardest shots in curling, and I'd
Yeah.
say give that a 5 out of 5 on
Yes.
this shot making skill.
For sure.
I'm gonna try and hit pretty close to nose.
Yeah, there's maybe like 1 or 2 inches of 1 inch of separation between those rocks. 2 inches.
I'd say maybe 1 millimeter.
1 millimeter. Very minimal. It's a great shot.
And why that was so important is now that they're so close together, Team Casper is forced to throw high weight, a peel shot at this.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process, they'll lose both stones that are in the house now and the shooter.
And the shooter.
So Team Wendling will be able to hit the red on the other side of the house and lead up to a blank.
Yep.
In the case that they aren't able to remove the yellow, this will also set up a chance for 2.
Absolutely.
So this really changes the momentum, forces Team Casper to make a really nice shot.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Here, Ethan calling sweep.
Okay.
Good throw.
They will remove all 3 stones.
Mm-hmm.
Now we'll see. Wes looks like he's going to try the freeze.
Gonna decide to freeze. Sounds like he really wants to take his 2 here.
Someone asking for any primes in the chat. I think they're on the wrong app, but it's good to try. So Wes will be throwing a similar shot to John's second, the last shot their team threw.
Yep. Pretty much the same weight as he just threw.
Exactly. They're just going the other way this time with the out turn draw.
Yep.
They'll be pretty content with anything pretty close to that red.
Yeah.
They'll also probably be okay with a little tap on it.
Right, yeah, tap is definitely acceptable here.
Whoa, whoa. Never, Charlie's rock. Never. Never.
See Becca getting a
Never.
hog to hog.
Got a curl.
We'll see what it ends up being. We'll expect it to be pretty similar to the normal draw paths.
Never.
Yeah.
Nope.
Got a 14-6, so it should be running a little bit heavy than they want.
It is. They'd love this to stick around. And it does, just does. I think a 14-6 on that path makes a little bit of sense. That path's generally a little less used than the draw path, so we'll see it be a little slower.
Absolutely.
Roughly 3 or 4 feet maybe.
Yep.
I think a 14-6 down the draw paths would have been about a foot through the house.
Yeah, I agree.
That does make sense in that spot. Team Casper looking to hit and stick on this one, I believe. I'm sure they'd be fine with a little roll as well. Everyone's saying hi to Becky, the commentator. It's actually Becca.
Yeah, it's
short for Rebecca.
Yep. Yeah.
But I'm sure she appreciates the hellos.
Hard. Whoa, whoa, clean, clean. Whoa.
And a heavy sweep on this one, trying to keep it on the line. Hit it right on the nose. Very nice shot by Danny. It's going to be difficult for Wes to remove both of those and try to get a blank.
And get the blank, yeah. So just taking the same path here and calling the draw again.
I think it mainly comes down to preference, but I almost would be inclined to throw the hit on this one.
Yeah.
You can really hit either of those stones on the inside of them. And
we'll probably stick around
exactly.
for shot, yeah.
Maybe the off chance you throw a good amount of weight at it, try to see if you can maybe spin out of the house.
Maybe, yeah.
Knowing that you're already pretty much out of force anyway.
Right.
Feels good.
You can hear Wes say that it felt good.
Careful, careful. This clean.
Supers will stay close.
Sure clean. This clean. Austin's rock. Gotta be biting 8 foot,
Supers
guys.
starting to sweep, so they looks like they like the weight.
Biting 8 foot. Hard, guys. Austin's rock. Biting 8 foot.
They do need to touch the 8 foot to get their one.
All right, we're good then.
Looks like it's there.
Yep, looks like it's on the backing if they need it. They don't even think they'll need it.
Yeah.
So nice shot by Wes, nice judge by the sweepers, and we'll see the score change to 4-2 to Casper after the 5th end, and we'll be right back after this break.
Yep.
USA Curling is committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion in sport. Our new Icebreakers program, created and led by Deborah Martin and Dean Gemmel, will promote strategic outreach by clubs to Black, Indigenous, and populations of color that have been underrepresented in curling. By introducing our amazing sport to new groups, we can create lasting connections that will benefit our clubs and the communities around them. You can find more information about Icebreakers in the Diversity and Inclusion section at usacurling.org. Icebreakers. Share the sport. Elevate the game. USA Curling's new logo is now on merchandise. Shop the latest USA Curling collection to show your pride by sporting a hat, t-shirt, sweatshirt, or quarter zip at usacurling.org/shop. The Granite Society recognizes your financial support of the USA Curling mission by virtue of your loyalty and leadership gifts. Through your Granite Society donation, You inspire continued development of the sport, as USA Curling can fund grassroots growth and development that prepares our nation's athletes to represent Team USA on the world stage, Olympic and Paralympic Games. Join the Granite Society today. USA Curling's new logo is now on merchandise. Shop the latest USA Curling collection to show your pride by sporting a hat, t-shirt, sweatshirt, or quarter zip at usacurling.org/shop.
Really got to curl, boys.
All right, and we are back
Hard
here
curl.
for the start of the sixth end
Far as you
after
can.
a short 5-minute break
Close to the
for
center line,
both
boys.
teams. Casper leads
Okay.
4-2.
Kind of like going around this one.
Let's make her good. Yep.
Wes Wendling making a nice draw on the last end to take his point. And with that guard that Wendling's team tried to throw
Top
was
12.
supposed to be a center, I believe, but didn't quite curl up enough, and so you'll see Team Casper's lead, Coleman Thurston, drawing
4.
around it.
Curl if you ever can. Yep. Gotta go. Yep. 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 Do it. Do it. Do it. You're doing it. Yep. 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 Yep.
To the spot.
And that's a really nice spot by Coleman Thurston.
top
He's
8,
been
top
really
4,
setting up
freeze.
the ends really well so far this game.
Four. Who's rock?
Johns, whoa! Take a look. Take a look. Look.
Charlie Thompson attempting to follow
a
down
little
on
bit.
Coleman's draw.
Straight. Straight. Great rock.
And we will be joined again by Chase Sinnott, who's
Hello.
commentating here with me.
I've returned.
Yes. And we are definitely seeing the comments in the chat here on the YouTube stream. You can definitely get a dab from Becca.
Seen someone mention the Team Tuma. I can go over and actually give you guys some score updates on the other semifinals going on.
Back 4.
So in the Team Tuma, Team Oldenburg game,
Top 4.
currently
Top
Team
8.
Oldenburg is leading 3-2 after 5. Team Oldenburg does have the hammer in the 6th end.
Really gotta go. Straight. Whoa.
On the women's semifinals, Team Strauss is leading Team Jones 5-3 after 5. Team Strauss has the hammer in the 6th end.
Okay.
And for Team Gorianova versus Team McDonald, Team Gorianova is leading 2-1
You just
after
like the
5,
same
and
thing?
they do have the hammer in the 6th. So all
What
these
do you like
games still pretty
this?
close.
I like that. Just like T-weight.
So we do see a little pileup going on behind the one corner guard.
Yeah, absolutely.
6.
Team Casper does have
Whoa.
hammer, so they're going to be happy with this play towards the side. They're also going to be doing
Really
their
gotta
best
curl.
to not allow Team
Whoa.
Wendling here to set up a big end by
Good.
putting rocks in a pile in the middle.
No. On
Looks
its
like Team
own.
Wendling was trying to freeze down to their own here on the side, and they come up a little bit heavy.
That'll work.
They do end up sticking around in the back 12.
This never hits this.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like Ford.
I got less than half.
We go serve.
Serve good.
I like it.
Yes, Josh, you can get a dab from Chase. Looks like Team Casper is going to be throwing a board weight hit around the corner guard. They want to hit their red into the yellow that's frozen in between the two reds.
Little down. Yes,
And then
yes.
they're going to try to roll away to the other side of the house, get some separation.
Curl hard. Hard.
Really
Gotta
working
get off
to
our
get it
center.
to curl here.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you're good. We were going for to say the same thing.
That's a great shot.
They will make the hit. Will they stick around for third
Well,
shot?
Hard to
It's
tell.
spin back. It's close. I can't tell if the red or the yellow is sitting shot, but there are two reds fully buried under the yellow corner guard. So Team Casper's sitting really well right now to get their two. Austin Carlson sliding out.
Where's rock?
Looking to throw a freeze into these two reds behind the corner guard.
Take a look. I want a 4-5, boys.
Looks like they want to freeze onto the top one, but I'm sure
Charlie.
they'll be okay with freezing to
Charlie.
either.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. Right to it, right to it. Hard.
Finish hard.
Looks like this
Right
one
rock.
will indeed freeze onto the red that was in the top 8.
Maybe over curling a little bit more than they wanted it to.
I think so. It's fully buried behind the guard, so it'll be hard to throw anything with weight at it.
Right.
But it does start to shrink the scoring area.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do hit that yellow rock, one of those reds will be leaving the house for sure.
Absolutely.
These are close.
That top one's not counting too, so I mean.
Full 8 foot.
I think I like.
Not bad. Maybe
Like-
a little bit further over.
Yeah, sure, yeah, like.
Yeah, I'm thinking like there.
Shut, yeah.
Team
at
Casper
least
having
past
a
the 8
discussion
foot.
about where they want to place this draw.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
They don't want to give Team Wendling any chance to roll
Yep.
underneath the pile that they have under this corner guard.
Right.
So they're going to try to put it as far over on the right side of the house, our right side, as they can, while still being third shot. Looks like the yellow that was just thrown by Team Wendling is about half in the 8 foot, half in the white ring. So we're going to be trying to see Sam Strauss land this rock somewhere that's a little more than halfway in the 8 foot.
Absolutely.
Always straight, straight, straight.
Coming down.
Easy guys, 14-5, easy. No.
You hear Danny say 14-5 out loud.
Should run a little bit heavy here.
We've been seeing 14-8,
Our bad, good throw.
14-9 be a typical draw around the tee line.
Mm-hmm.
And this one does slip to the back 12. That was also one of those paths coming off the center line, so it makes sense that the 14-5 does end up sticking in the house.
Does end up sticking around.
Do we ever do this?
West looking at drawing around the pile under the corner guard. I don't mind the idea later in the game, but it's still being the 6th end. There's a lot of ends left to get your points.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if now's a chance to try and make a move on those 2 reds that are buried.
Do you want to call a
Especially
timeout?
after a miss there by Team Casper.
Yeah.
It's a chance to capitalize on that.
Absolutely.
And with that freeze maybe
I like-
over curling, but being so well made,
like
you may as
here.
well try to use it.
Absolutely.
I feel like the point to calling it was to
Yeah,
give them an
I like the
opportunity to remove
timeout.
these reds, so you may as well try to do that
You
shot.
like timeout?
Right.
Yeah, if you want.
Looks like Team Wendling's going to call their timeout. So we'll see their coach head over to meet them.
Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit more in depth about the options that they have here.
Curling, you get a 1-minute timeout. The coach will have travel time to make sure they can get to the team before that 1 minute begins.
Right.
They're for sure
And
1-2.
in
I
this
think
case,
this
the
is 3.
travel time is
That
going to be
might
needed
4,
because the
but
coach
those two are
is
close.
here on the far end,
Yep.
and the timeout's being called on
I
the
don't
home
know
end.
what we do here.
Absolutely.
Can we set one right here? I mean, if they hit it, does it?
I think you're right, though. They really
Nah.
they placed that freeze to
This
use
is a hard
it.
spot to
I
hit.
think they should give it a shot.
Because if we're here, it's not great.
It's not
They just
too
know
easy to
they're
tell
here.
how buried it is from our angle on the
Yeah,
camera,
that's true.
but it does look like it's like a little bit open, maybe
don't
seeing
think it
like an
does.
eighth of it, which doesn't sound like
not
much,
sure.
but with the way these rocks can curl with even a board weight,
Right.
you could probably remove the second redstone, the one that's half in the 4 foot, and roll away to the other side of the house.
At least change up the angles a little bit and get some rocks moving.
Exactly. I wouldn't even hate seeing them throw like a more draw
Yeah.
type weight,
Mm-hmm.
like maybe a back 8. Do what you said, change those angles, but keep the yellows lined up to hit the reds.
Right, absolutely.
Here, yeah. I think that's good. Just here, and pro side we bring it here.
Looks like they're
Okay.
thinking maybe try to freeze to the back red.
It's not terrible, but I don't like it.
If it
super
ever's
much.
a little heavy, their plan B can be just to go around the pile, try to stick for a second shot, maybe even first shot behind
Because
everything.
this
Right.
locked is helping us.
Yeah.
I'm only thinking if they ever bounce off these rocks, you'll see a hit and
It's
roll from
really
Team
close.
Casper
I
to the
think
spot
that
they were
one's
trying to
ahead,
draw
though.
to on their previous.
You're right.
What? I like this.
I think this is
Let's do
a
it.
good shot if you can make it there.
Mm-hmm.
Pro side's light, John.
Just
If we
definitely
do a
not
guard,
too
we
easy.
can draw under it.
Yeah.
then.
You can hear them saying pro side light, so they'll have a wide range that they're finding acceptable.
Absolutely.
We'll see a nice medium for the broom, where if this does end up light, they'll be partially on the center line as like a 3 guard, which means pretty close to the house. If it does end up coming a little heavy, the line will be pretty similar to the freeze on the back red, but they'll end up being in the back 4 foot, maybe back 8.
Right.
But they're definitely hoping to be at least second shot after this stone is thrown. See someone say easy quad. I don't know if it's that easy.
I don't know if any quad is easy.
Come on, guys, you got
Whoa! Charlie's! Charlie's!
Stay close.
Looks like they think it's pretty close. The sweepers are staying close for the weight.
Stay close, guys. Stay close.
Starting to sweep more at the end,
Austin.
which means that
Come on, guys.
they are trying to
Hard.
place it exactly what they were talking
Come
about
on,
earlier.
guys.
Sweeping hard for line.
Whoa!
Looks like it might have.
I think, too.
Yeah, it looks like it might have pulled up a
I
lot
don't
at
hate
the
it,
end.
John.
Really came off a lot.
But honestly, that's a pretty good spot because it's on that side of the center line and so close to the others.
always
They
running
will
it.
have the ability to
Oh, sweet
run
ball.
it into the
He's
yellow
coming
later on if
here.
it's not
Utilize
removed.
it, yeah. And it's definitely within the pro side miss that they discussed during their timeout. So
Yeah, in fact, that's exactly the plan B shot that they called was if it's light, we can just leave a guard and that's fine.
exactly.
They can use it to draw around, or in this case, they can use it to run as well.
Right.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, if we don't go here, he's going right here, and we're.
Let's see. Skip Danny Casper in second. Sam Strauss talking the shot out a little bit.
It's not the best off. I mean, it's not a great option.
Wouldn't hate to see the person throwing the shot come down just to make sure they're on the same page as the person calling it.
Yep.
But it's always good to have multiple people on the same page. We actually see Ethan, the person throwing the shot, coming down now.
Shot, yep. But it looks like they've come to a decision before he was able to get all the way down there.
I'm good with this. Make it good. Just biting 4 foot.
Looks like Team Casper has decided to throw a draw. They just want to bite the 4 foot on the front side of the house. They don't even necessarily need to be fully under this yellow guard.
Yeah.
They just want to be kind of blocking Team Wendling from being able to throw this draw themselves.
Small ad. Small ad.
No matter where this one ends up, I'm pretty sure we'll see some weight being thrown by Team Wendling on their next one.
Absolutely.
Still running. You go here. 14-8.
Rock does look like it's gliding. They don't want to leave this one right behind the tee line.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately looks like it's going to be right behind the pin. The pin is the very center of the house.
Yeah.
This will give Team Wendling a chance to freeze on the nose of this this red. Luckily, Team Casper might have brought it just far enough that if they were to run the guard in, they might be able to squeeze the yellow past the other red that's biting the 4 foot.
Right.
But even then, you're running a yellow in, and if you double jam, it's not going to look great for
Whoa.
you.
Right.
Charlie's. It's really got a curl.
The sweeper's staying off.
Really got a curl.
Might be a little heavy. They really want this one to come down.
Whoa.
Calling for Charlie to be on the rock. They want to have the
bend
outside
in.
sweeper trying to curl it over.
Can you go a little?
It'll just
God, I got all of it.
just make it by.
It's a really good weight.
Yeah, great weight.
Just looks like they might have gotten a little bit caught up on the line there.
Yeah.
So since this one did slide a little bit deep, Team Casper is going to take advantage of that and try to do the freeze themselves.
Absolutely.
If they lock this one on there, it's going to be really difficult
Whoa,
for Team
get off!
Wendling to move it off the button.
To do anything about it, right.
And with the yellow being tucked just behind the
Harold,
red,
it's going
it
out.
actually
Have to
leaves
go.
more backing
Have to
for
go. Have to go.
Team Wendling to stuff one of these reds on.
You're absolutely right.
This one also looks pretty heavy. More heavy than the previous, though.
No, never straight.
Looks like they're going to bounce off the yellow. Team Casper will sit 3, but they have now created what we call a pocket.
Yes.
Whereas if you sit right in between these two reds,
I mean, we go huge on what
so you're touching both of them,
right, it'll
it's
be
almost impossible
If
to
we miss-
remove
if we
at
miss
least
the
in
hit
one
in
stone.
any way, like we
Exactly.
knows, then he does that, and we're
If you look at the bottom of the screen, you do see that
We gotta
there's
put
2
one here,
stones
I
left per team. So
I think just there.
it's going to be difficult for Team Casper to remove a stone that lands there,
Right.
even if there's a small bump.
Very true.
We just gotta go on that pocket there. Yep. So you like a 10? Okay, gotta be right on these two. Bumping's fine.
Near a nice conversation between West and the 2 sweepers
Line's
here.
most important, so listen to John.
That's a really good comment there.
That's really great. I really like that he said that.
A lot of teams don't necessarily make that distinction whether the line or the weight is more important on a shot. Sometimes they just say this is where we want to place it.
Right.
And then sometimes the supers might take liberty thinking that they need to make sure the weight is there, whereas the skipper vice is calling to make sure that the line is correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
Getting caught a little in between.
Yeah.
In this case, you hear that Wes said that the line is more important on this one.
Boys.
So they're going to listen to
Really
listen
saying
to
John's
John's
got to
house.
move.
They really want this one to come up a little. Doesn't quite. It will tap one of the reds to the back of the forefoot and leave the yellow sitting on the side.
Yeah, it looks like they're sitting third shot right now, but it's definitely in a precarious position.
Yes, Matt, I agree. That can also be called a catcher's mitt.
Yes.
You'll hear the term catcher a lot, too, in curling.
Yeah,
typically,
very
you
true.
might see those a little further back in the house, and you're not necessarily freezing to them. But if your rock does come heavy, you'll come back to the catchers in the back and save your rock from going through the house.
Exactly.
But definitely the same concept.
Mm-hmm.
Team Casper electing to throw a downweight hit and roll off the yellow that Wes just placed there.
Off. Off. Off.
Ethan saying off right at the beginning, having Coleman jump on the curl as soon as possible. Looks like this rock's got to move a bit.
Sounds like it's close.
It's close.
They want to roll right on top of the button. They actually overroll.
Oh, yeah, overroll a little bit. And
freeze again.
There's still a pocket there for Wes.
The only
I like
danger
the
is
same
that
ice, I'll just throw
there's
a
a
little
lot
ice.
of yellow sitting there on the forefoot.
You're right.
Or reds,
a lot
excuse
of
me.
Yeah, a lot of reds, and it'll be one lonely yellow.
Same shot, just a little less weight here. Yep.
See someone asking if I curl. I do curl. Me and Beck are actually both part of the national team here for USA Curling.
Mm-hmm.
We did both age out last year at Junior Nationals, so we're here supporting our friends and all the other junior curlers.
Exactly.
We know they put a lot of time and hard work into this. Want to give back a little bit to those who helped us out throughout our junior career.
Exactly, yes.
Clean. You got it clean. At least clean. Because we can't have this rock pick, so clean, please.
Wes's rock's on the way. Sweepers are backing off. They might think it's a little bit heavy.
Alright, that's fine.
Going to the house. It looks like it might just go by the outside of the reds.
Oh, my bad, boys. Yes.
We'll see Team Casper discuss if they want to try this small bump for
4.
what would be 6, or if they just want to draw for 5.
I think
in this case, I might just try the draw for 5, and if you end up a little heavy, you end up a little heavy, and you might get your 6.
I absolutely agree with that.
But I think in the case of being up 2, I think 5 is going to be plenty fine.
Absolutely.
It's one of those conversations of risk versus reward.
Mm-hmm.
The bump will be a little bit harder of a shot for a bigger reward,
right?
But is the risk worth it?
Right.
It looks like they're going to do exactly what we're talking about here. They're going to throw the draw.
Yep.
If they see that it's possible, they might try to sweep for the tap.
Mm-hmm. But if not, I would be very happy with 5 here.
Careful early here. Line's a little tight. Line's a little tight. Sam, you can go. Yep.
I can hear Ethan calling out that line's a little bit tight.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So Sam will be close
Line's
sleeping
good.
here.
Line's good.
It does look like that it has enough weight that they might be trying for the tap.
Might. Yeah, it's close.
Looks like it's going to overcurl, though. This will just be a draw for 5. Nice shot, though, there by Danny Casper. Sometimes those draws are actually harder than they seem, those tack-on points.
Can be the toughest shots.
especially when you're looking at backing.
Mhm.
So after that, Team Casper will go up 9-2 going into the 7th end.
Yeah, we got a little bit lucky.
USA Curling aims to provide continued programming to grassroots, junior, and diversity and inclusion initiatives. Support the future of curling in the United States by making a donation at usacurling.org/donate.
All right, we are back. We're actually going to go switch over to the semifinal on sheet 4 between Team Strauss and Team Jones. We'll make sure to give updates back on this game as well as we go along. In the meantime, I'll give you some score updates on the sheets that we haven't been physically watching. Over on sheet 2 in the semifinal between Team Tuma and Team Oldenburg, the score is 3-2. Team Oldenburg leading with hammer in the 6th end. The game that we just switched to, Team Strauss versus Team Jones, Team Strauss is leading 5-4 after 6 ends, and Team Strauss does have the hammer. And then way over on sheet 5, we have Team Gornova versus Team McDonald. It's been a very open game, it seems like. The score currently is Team Gornova leading 2-1 after 6 with the hammer in the 7th end.
Yeah, very low scoring game there.
Right. We do not have mics on these set of players here, but we do have some ambient mics, so you'll hear some of the yells and the louder line calls going on. But we'll try to narrate you guys through what's going on as we watch it.
Absolutely.
Team Strauss here, the ones throwing the Yellowstones, they are the current reigning national champs from the previous year. Rebecca Rogers, commentating, was on that team when they won last time. Team Jones, I believe, won the bronze medal at that nationals last year.
They did, yes.
So both teams, big contenders for
Very
this year's title.
experienced,
Yeah,
yes.
and experienced too. Both of them have been at many, many nationals. Not necessarily as these exact teams, but the players individually have had a lot of experience at these events. We'll see Ellie Vorpal there throw a hit and roll, trying to roll over to the other yellow on the side of the 12, and just managed to roll in to be first shot. Sydney Mulaney of Team Strauss about to throw. They're looking for a hit and roll back onto the rings. A nose hit will sit just outside of the house, so they want to try to roll back, be second shot or even first shot.
Yeah, a roll is definitely pretty important here.
Team Strauss does have the hammer in this end, meaning the last stone of the end. So their goal here is to score 2 or more. And splitting the house is a very common way to try to achieve this. We'll see if this one spins back. It's going to be close.
Not quite. A good attempt.
It stays in play. So we may see someone try to come down and freeze to that, which means draw right to it. Ellie Vorpal throwing an in-turn hit towards the wing, trying to hit and roll back in towards the center line. They love to keep this one in the rings to force Team Strauss to play over to that side.
Absolutely, which they're able to do successfully.
It's a nice shot there by Ellie. Team Jones is the team that has already played 2 games today.
Yes.
They played a game at noon against Team Goranova, which was very close. I know it came down to the last end.
Very close.
Then after that, they did play a tiebreaker at 4 p.m. against Team View, of which they did come out on top, and that is what places them here now.
Yeah, 3 games in one day. You don't see that super often in curling, but it does happen, and it really shows these girls' stamina to be able to do that successfully.
Yeah, stamina physically and mentally.
And mentally, absolutely.
All 3 of these games had big consequences. So it's definitely 3 strong mental games in a row.
For sure.
So we do see, I believe that was Sydney Mulaney's stone rolling out of play.
Yep.
But that is okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with no other rocks in the house.
In the house, yeah.
Abby Marquardt throwing now. Just looking to place one in the rings. It's a nice practice draw. It's good to get some of these in, especially in the later ends. You just want to double check that the weight is still what you think it is. Sweeper's staying near it, but not necessarily sweeping or cleaning. I think it's already there. Oh, it looks like they're actually trying to throw a tight guard instead. Definitely makes sense, especially with still on the Vice's stones. No reason to not try to throw the center guard. But I'm not surprised that Team Strauss is peeling it out.
Right.
At this point, they don't like the setup they have, and I believe it's an odd end, the 7th. So they'd rather blank and take that hammer into the evens to keep control of the game.
Absolutely.
Most teams, especially with a lead of even 1 or more, they're really going to want to see this control in the 10th end. And having hammer really gives you that power to decide what's going to happen in the end of that end.
Absolutely. You're definitely able to dictate with the hammer.
We do know that the 5 rock rule kind of helps the team without hammer, though, too. So now the team with hammer has to wait 1 rock longer to start peeling guards that aren't in the house.
Right.
That'll allow some teams to get double guards and underneath them before those guards can even be moved. So Leah Yavaro's peel attempt was successful. We'll see Abby Marquardt throw another guard.
Another guard.
Overcurls slightly, but does the job. They just wanted it to be somewhere in front of the house. Lainey Strauss holding out the broom for another peel. Leah Yavaro throwing right now. And here, Lainey yelling to hard sweep this. They really want to try to get their roll out. They don't quite. They end up
a little
rolling.
bit, but
yeah,
rolls to center, giving Jones an opportunity to come around it.
Jones will take that opportunity, especially this late in the end. It's definitely beneficial for them to have this guard be placed. It's one of those cases of capitalizing on another team's miss. Sometimes one of the hardest things to do.
Absolutely.
But if you do make it, it's a big morale boost for your own team.
Right.
And in the process, a morale deflator for the other team.
Yes, very true.
Not only do they have to go through not their favorite outcome, but also see the other team capitalize on it. So the sweeper's really dragging this as far as they can go. They want to make sure this is in the house, which it will be. See if they can finish it towards the center line. Looks like it will be mostly buried, if not fully.
I believe so.
We'll see Team Strauss call the run back, I believe.
Yeah, it is a relatively short run back with that rock only being half in the 8-foot here.
But still sometimes harder than it seems.
Very true, especially on the center line, it can get a little tricky.
The further the run back gets, the less room you have to actually hit the rock at the right spot. Once you get towards having like a 2 guard and you're hitting something near the T line, you're talking millimeters, makes a huge difference.
Absolutely.
1 millimeter will hit half the rock, the next millimeter will go right by. On this shot here, the pro side's definitely to make sure you peel the guard and leave the house.
For sure.
Or leave the field of play, I should say. Looks like it's close. Inside super Sydney Mulaney sweeping it. Now they're switching to curl. They'd love to make contact on both, and they do.
They do.
And they get a roll away from the center line.
Very nice shot by Lainey.
With Laney's rock still staying in play, we'll see Sam Jones capitalize on that and go for a draw right around it.
Mm-hmm.
If she makes this well, you'll probably see Laney either try the run back and be fine with giving up one and an odd end to bring the game to a tie, or you might see Laney attempt the blank if she can see some of it.
Right.
Both shots really having the same risk.
Yes, absolutely.
Probably either give up one or get the blank.
Mm-hmm.
This rock does look like it's coming in heavy. Looks like it will just slide through the rings.
Leah able to sweep it out.
So now I'm sure we'll see Laney Strauss throw this one right through the house. They don't want to score 1 point when they have the hammer, and they definitely don't want to do that in an odd end.
Right.
The benefit of having that hammer in the even ends is that the 10th end is an even end, and you want to have hammer in the 10th so you get the last say in what happens in the game.
Exactly. Very well put.
So you'll see a lot of teams maneuver the ends, trying to time it so by the 8th end they'll have the hammer there.
And then you have 2 out of 3 hammers in theory of the 3 last ends, which is definitely an advantage.
Trying to see, they look like they're lining up the split on the corner guard.
You might be right.
I don't know if the angle is correct to be able to make it.
Yeah.
Although we are at a diagonal, so it's a little harder to see. I trust that they know what they're doing.
That they know. Yeah, they definitely know.
I don't know if I'd call it in the 7th end, though. Maybe in the 8th if I'm trying to get my 2 and okay with taking 1.
Looks like they're playing a lot of weight at it, too.
I think they need to make sure they get the roll and the jam on the side. It's close.
Oh, it's really close.
We got to roll this one in. Are they going to make it?
Oh, great effort.
Really solid attempt.
Great
That's
effort
almost
by
as
Laney
close
Strauss.
as you can get
it.
That will only be 1 for Team Strauss, but a really solid throw by the team. So they will take 1 and go up 6-4 after 7 ends.
Check out this one. Long hair, loves to hike, and plays frisbee.
What is he, a Labrador?
So should I meet him?
You're not that adventurous.
Yes, I am. Try me.
Okay. Jump into that lake.
I'll do it.
Let's all do it. I'm in. This is crazy. You coming?
Seriously? It is way too comfortable in here.
That's crazy.
The all-new Sienna. Toyota, let's go places.
All right. We're back now with the 8th end of the semifinal between Team Strauss and Team Jones. Team Strauss last end had a really close split.
Yes.
One of the more difficult splits you can make in the game. To throw a hit weight, try to roll off a side house guard and roll in with their shooter as well. See, someone asked what curling center this. Someone did answer, but we are in the Chaska Curling Center in Chaska, Minnesota. It's about 30 minutes away from Minneapolis.
Yep.
We'll also see some handshakes over on our first feature sheet between Team Wendling and Team Casper. So that will mean Team Casper will advance to the junior men's final of the 2021 Junior National Championships. That'll be happening tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Central Time.
Yep. We'll both be here.
We will. We'll be the pair commentators tomorrow.
Yes.
See people people in the chat saying that we forgot our dabs, but we did that like 40 minutes ago.
We did them so long ago. We promise. You just couldn't see us.
Looks like Team Strauss threw a center guard on their first. I believe Team Jones tried to go around it. Came up a little light and ticked on it. This is Sydney Mulaney and Leah Yavaro really sweeping hard to bring this one around the center guard. They do it.
Yeah, great sweep.
Going as far as they can. Those two are extremely powerful sweepers.
Absolutely.
Might be a little biased. Sydney Mulaney is my mixed doubles partner, but
fair enough.
I still think it's true.
Yes, it definitely is still true.
After that, we'll see Anna Armstrong trying to freeze right down to the rock that Susan Dutt threw there to the forefoot. Front end sweeping harder than this one to get it by the guard, just like the last rock. It looks like it's a little heavier. You might see it tick off and roll to the back four. A little bit further to the back 8. Might see Laney just tack another one on.
Yeah.
Looks like she will. I wouldn't mind just coming right to the side of that yellow, maybe just in front of it, but making sure they're 1 and 2.
I agree.
Sydney Mulaney now, looking to throw the same shot that Susan Dutt threw on her for second. This is the out turn. Out turns will turn counterclockwise, the in turns will turn clockwise. Sometimes you can't remember. You can actually look at the elbow of the person throwing.
Absolutely.
The in turn, the elbow will move inward, and the out turn, the elbow will move outward as they rotate the stone.
Right.
The shot looks like it has good line, just a little bit light. I believe they'll be fine with that outcome. It acts as another center guard. Enough so that Team Jones is actually choosing to kind of ignore it. They're planning to come around to the top button. Though you can see Sam Jones there signaling that pro side is light and you can freeze to the yellow that Sydney just placed in the top 12. Ellie Vorpal's rock coming down the sheet. Sweepers seem to be pretty happy with it. I believe they're sweeping for line, trying to make sure they get past the yellow in the top 12. It doesn't look like they'll quite do that, but they will come up pretty close to frozen on it. Just a foot shy. It's another center guard. I believe we'll see Lainey Strauss ignore that. She actually will want that there.
Absolutely, yeah, that definitely works in her favor here.
Her yellow on the forefoot is definitely overburied on the yellow guard, so it's right behind that whole pile. She's calling for Sydney Mulaney to throw the same shot she just tried on her first. I believe she's giving a little more broom, a little more weight will do the job.
Yes, we'll get the job done for sure.
You can see both sweepers here sweeping and on the inside, so they're really trying to hold this for line.
Wow, this is really moving.
Looks like it's gonna just touch one of the guards and roll over. Ooh, it makes it by the first one.
Oh.
We will now see a third consecutive shot come a little bit light.
Right.
Land on that center line.
It is the 8th end, so the ice might be breaking down a little bit, meaning that it's slowing up a little bit. That's pretty typical in the 8th end of a 10-end game.
Definitely. Quick score update for Sheet 2, the other men's semifinal. Team Oldenburg took 1 in the 6th end to lead 4-2. Team Tuma will have the hammer in the 7th. We can also do a quick score update on Sheet 5, the other semifinal between the two women. The Team Goranova took 2 in the 7th end. They'll be up 4-1 going into the 8th, and Team McDonald will have hammer.
The remaining games here are very close.
They are. Our current game is, as you can see on the screen, Strauss is leading 6-4 after 7 ends, and Jones will have the hammer here in the 8th.
Mm-hmm.
While we were doing some score updates, a really nice shot by Ellie Vorpal. Puts this one right on the button and behind guards.
Mm-hmm.
See, Leah Yavaro attempting to come down, probably tap it back, but I'm sure they'll be plenty happy with the freeze.
With just the freeze, yeah, absolutely.
They definitely want to make sure this is in front of the red.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely key here.
Yeah, and they don't want to bounce off because that'll leave a pocket for Team Jones to come down to.
Mm-hmm. Sid really sweeping to curl it here at the end.
They don't want to bounce off. They want to stick there as much as they can. They don't bounce off too much, but I do believe it's roughly edge on edge with the guards.
Yeah, it does look like red is still shot here.
And just to make sure people heard before, there were handshakes on our original stream game, Team Casper versus Team Wendling. There was a, oops, sorry. There was a score of 1 by Team West Wendling in the 7th end, and they decided to give the handshakes there.
Mm-hmm.
Be nice for both teams because they will both be playing in the morning for their respective medals. So
absolutely,
they'll get some extra sleep.
Yeah, it's important to rest up.
I'm sure some of them are even watching live with us now.
Yeah, you might be right.
Just been notified that there will be a team meetings for the games tomorrow, so they actually will have to stick around and wait for that.
So don't get to go.
They just need 1 coach and 1 player though, so some of the team might go home, but depending on if they all drove together, they might have to stick around and wait. So maybe they should have kept going just for fun.
Yeah, for fun.
Little practice ends in. All right, while we're giving those updates, it does look like Abby Marquardt threw a nice freeze to the yellow that we saw Leah Yavaro throw.
Yeah.
The yellow is out counting it, but any touch on that red will definitely get the yellow out of the forefoot.
Yeah, that was definitely a nice setup shot by Abby there.
We'll see Leah Yavaro throwing down the other side of the sheet now. They are calling the sideways tap on the yellow, trying to push it onto the button. Sweeping really hard. Looks like it's close.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. It will overcurl and hit a guard. It does bump the yellow over a little bit. I don't think it's quite enough to block the red-yellow freeze on the right side. Team Jones discussing what they want to do. I don't think they're happy with all the center guards in the way, but I'm sure Team Strauss is loving those.
Yeah, absolutely.
Team Jones is in the controlling position, though. I believe here they're calling to come down to that red one, tap the yellow out of the forefoot, and probably stay there. I think another option, they can see probably about half of it from the hack, so maybe come down with a little more weight.
A little more weight.
Try to bump the red to the left towards the center line. And roll away.
I like that call a lot.
I think I like it almost better just to make sure that the red isn't showing after this.
Right. Maybe throwing like hack at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if the red is showing at all, you might see Lainey Strauss try a slash double. It does look like this is going to be more than draw weight, so they might be doing just what they were talking about.
Just what we were talking about.
There's no movement yet. No, they don't seem to want to touch it. You want to be careful that they don't take the yellow over. Looks like they'll do just that. So now yellow is actually sitting 1 now. But with where it is, it's definitely removable by Team Jones if they can get an angle at it.
Right.
The only problem is where will they get that angle from?
Exactly.
They do currently still have the tap on the red that they kind of just tried, except now they can bump it straight into the yellow that they just tapped over to the button.
Right.
There's not too much to be done on the left side of the sheet.
No, I agree with that.
It looks like there's a small hole between the yellow and red guards that are on the left of the center line.
Very small.
Maybe enough to squeeze that yellow on the top left of the forefoot over to the other yellow and bump them out of the 4, but you also risk jamming it onto the red and giving up 2.
Right.
Looks like Lainey Strauss is going to be throwing a guard on this red one on the top right of the forefoot. She'll probably want to leave this one around a 2, so right in the middle of the guard zone.
Right.
Not wanting to be too close that it's runnable, but also not wanting to be too far away that the other team can still get around it.
Very true.
See Matt Mulaney commenting about trying to guard on the right. I do think that's the right call, and it looks like that is what they're doing. I really like the placement here. Maybe a little bit higher on the sheet would be preferable, just so there is definitely no chance at a run.
Right.
But if they do try to run, they're running a yellow, so there is always a risk with that. In fact, it looks like Sam Jones is looking at that exact run right now. She motioned for something to move into that red, into the yellow. The only issue is if they ever cross face of the red, meaning cross towards the center line side of the red stone, they could launch it straight backward into the yellow, roll the red out of the forefoot, and roll the other red that the yellow's frozen to out of the forefoot.
Yes.
Which definitely wouldn't be ideal for their team.
Yes.
It would clear the forefoot out, which might be a little helpful, but I think they'd leave yellow sitting 2, maybe 3, depending on where all the rocks go. But again, they do need to make something move. There's a lot of rocks in the way, and there's not really any ways to get into the house at the moment. Team Jones taking their time on this shot. I think it's important to make sure everyone understands what's going on and that they think it's the right angles and weights and everything.
Right.
It is difficult, and it's also very important. See Anna Armstrong signaling that the weight might be a little bit up from what they imagined. Nothing happening yet. Sweeping called now at the end. Looks like it's pretty close. They will do what we talked about there.
Yeah, you're right. Sitting 2, it looks like.
Looks like Anna Armstrong accidentally kicked one of the rocks that was out front, but doesn't look like any of the teams really saw where it went, so they'll just kind of let it sit there.
No harm, no foul.
Watching the replay on my phone, and it's pretty much exactly where it was going to go. It was just about stopping, and it hit the tip of her toe.
Oh, okay.
At most, it would probably be right above the center of the name Strauss on the scoreboard there.
Yeah.
So now Team Lainey Strauss is sitting 2 in the top forefoot. But there is an outturn draw path. This is Lainey Strauss's last stone of the end. Sure, she's looking to either plug the hole or place a better one in the forefoot.
Right.
But with the way the house looks, I don't think they necessarily need to make a better draw on the forefoot. It's going to be hard already for Team Jones to get in there.
I agree.
It's like Sydney Mulaney sweeping hard to hold the line. They want to keep this over so they can fill the hole. Maybe they can get a little rub off the yellow guard here, but it looks like they'll just come up right to it. Team Jones will have the option to draw right into the forefoot here.
And a big opportunity for 3 here or just for 1 here for Jones.
Yep, just a shot for 1. Though they can't be heavy, I don't think. I believe the yellow that's furthest left in the forefoot will be shot if you come back to the back stones.
Yes.
I see someone answering the update on the Casper game. Team Casper has won the game after, I believe, 7 ends. So they will be moving on to the junior men's final tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central Time.
Yep.
You'll see me and Becca there commentating again.
Yes.
All right, the shot's underway. Supers are lightly cleaning it. Looks like it might be a little heavy. They're coming off now at the end of the path.
Yeah, not really wanting to touch this. Might get a rub.
They might get a rub. They want to make sure they're pretty decently into the 4. They are biting. Looks like it's 1 yellow for sure. We might not know for a little bit because we don't have the mics on. Looks like they're going to double check.
Take a look.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see a measure call by the 2 teams. It looks like they're going to call a measure.
Call a measure.
You can tell they're going to do a measure because they're leaving those 2 stones there for an official to come out with a device to see which stone is closer to the middle of the house. The measuring device actually uses air pressure with a little gauge. And whichever rock is putting more pressure on that gauge is the one that's closer to the middle of the house.
Right.
This is a big point here. Team Strauss was already up 2 points. So going into the 9th, they will be up at least 1. Or at least 3,
at least
sorry.
3, yes.
They will score at least 1.
At least 1 in this end, but possibly even 2.
Put my 2 sentences together.
Yes.
See the official swinging the device around. You can see the little white meter on top, and underneath you can see a white bar sticking down. They'll be communicating with the vice skips there what the pressure gauge reads now that they swing it around. We'll see which stone had a higher reading. I believe it was red. See a little tap in on whichever rock is closer. Maybe waiting for the official to move out of the way so you don't actually accidentally trip them. It was red. You can see Abby Marquardt move the stone in.
So that will be a score of 1 for Team Strauss in the 8th end, and they will take a lead of 7-4.
I don't think there's really one moment that starts a comeback. We have the ability to overcome anything as long as we're surrounded by the right people.
I need a good group of people to trust to work on my body.
I'll be back and I'll be stronger than ever.
I go, who are you? He goes, I'm the guy that's going to save your life.
Comebacks imply returning to where you once were. I want to go where I've never been.
We are back now with the 9th end of the semifinal between Team Strauss and Team Jones. Last end we saw Sam Jones drawing against 2 for 1 point and ended up being a little heavy and wrecked on a rock in like the side 8-foot. Rolled in a little bit and was enough to cut out one of the 2 yellow counters, but Team Strauss did end up with a steal of 1, so now they lead the game by 3 with only 2 ends to go. With that 3-point lead, we'll probably see Team Strauss play this pretty safely. A lot of open shots, not trying to make it too complicated for themselves.
Yeah, defending their lead here for sure.
And on the other hand, we're going to see that Team Jones is really going to want to make there be a clutter on the sides of the sheets, try to build up a big end.
Right.
With only 2 ends to go, they can't really afford to necessarily blank here. They're going to want to try to score at least 2, bring the game within 1 point, and then go hard in that last end to try to win the game.
Absolutely.
Nice 2 shots there by Susan Dutt, lead of Team Strauss.
Doing 2 rocks in the 4-foot. 1 on the button, actually.
For any viewers who might not know, curling is scored like bocce ball, if you know how that one is played. So however many stones of one color are closer to the middle of the rings than the first of the other color. So in the case of the previous end, there were lots of rocks in play, and maybe there were more yellow rocks in the house than red rocks, but only one yellow rock was closer to the middle than the first red rock, which is the one that Sam Jones threw on her last. So yellow only ends up scoring 1 point, even though they might have had more stones in the house in total.
Right.
That's where it kind of differs from a game like Cornhole, where the bags will
cancel each other out. Yeah.
No matter where they are on the board.
Right, right. Yeah, that's a good explanation.
It's definitely a little confusing to understand at first, but as you watch more curling, you'll start to pick up on how that works and why teams might throw what they do to sit where they are.
Exactly.
So we saw there, Team Jones elects to throw a freeze down to the 2 rocks that were in the forefoot.
Nicely executed.
I think another option they might have had was to throw another guard that wouldn't be able to be taken out because of the 5 rock rule, or the possibility of going under the corner that they threw on their first.
Yeah. It looks like Team Strauss did decide to take a timeout here. Discussing options with Coach Courtney George coming out on the ice. Fun fact about Team Strauss's coach, Courtney George, has been around the curling world for a long time. She actually is an Olympian, so lots of experience coming from the coach of Team Strauss, which is very exciting. And the year that she did go to the Olympics was 2006.
It's the nice thing about the Olympics is that once you go once, you're always an Olympian, part of that Team USA.
Exactly.
One of those shining moments for any athlete, I'm sure. It's the big event that you always dream of wanting to work up to. And I'm sure every athlete out here has that ultimate goal of joining Team USA.
Absolutely.
Strauss did decide to hit this redstone. I believe they were trying to hit it on the nose and freeze in front of it. They will end up over curling and hitting it over to the side. Looks like Team Jones is going to call the hit and roll to the other ring towards the corner guard. We do have a question in the chat about sweeping.
Oh.
So they ask, does sweeping just affect the direction of the stone, or does it do something else? So I can start the explanation. Maybe we can trade off a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
So when you first learn sweeping, you're going to learn about how sweeping can actually make a rock go further, and it can also prevent a rock from curling.
Right.
You might hear that sweeping actually makes the rock go faster. That isn't necessarily true. What it does is it prevents the rock from slowing down.
Right.
So you'll see the rocks go further from sweepers. And you can even think of it kind of like a literal house broom. You're getting all the dirt out of the way. You're cleaning the path to make sure that nothing's going to add on to the bottom of the rock and slow it down.
Right. That, as well as a fun fact about curling ice, is that it isn't flat like hockey ice. There actually are small bumps on the ice, little water droplets that we like to call the pebble. And part of sweeping is creating the friction between your broom and the ice to try and melt those water droplets a little bit, which, like Chase was saying, prevents the rock from slowing down and allows the rock to go a little bit further.
I'm sure if you've stepped on like a tile floor in the kitchen when it's dry, it's perfectly sticky. You know, you can move your foot around a little bit, but if the floor is wet, it's very easy to slip and fall on it.
Yeah.
Same kind of concept with curling. It makes it a lot more slick and the rocks will keep gliding on it.
Absolutely.
And then for I saw someone else mention that you can change the direction of the curl with sweeping, which is very true.
Yep.
You'll hear us talking a lot about sweepers on the outside or the inside to
Mhm.
do certain objectives with the stone. So when you sweep, you can make these little scratches on the pebble that Becca mentioned.
Mhm.
And those scratches are what the rock is going to follow down the ice.
Yep.
So if you make scratches that are going against the curl, say the rock is curling clockwise, and you sweep the rock in a counterclockwise direction,
Mhm.
you'll actually create scratches going against the curl. The rock will try to follow that and curl less.
Yes.
So that's what you'll learn with classic sweeping. Is that
Originally,
yeah. You'll be sweeping against the curl of the rock to try to
Mhm.
keep it going straight.
Yep.
You'll actually see that happening right now with Susan Dutt.
Mhm.
You see her broom is angled away from the way the rock is curling. The rock is curling to the left, she's angling it to the right.
Mhm.
And the goal of that's to keep it going in a straight
In a
path.
straight path. That being said, if you do the opposite direction, if you sweep towards the direction that the rock is curling, then you can help make the
Guide,
rock
yeah.
guide is the word I'm looking for. Guide the rock in that direction and help it move a little bit further instead of keeping it on a straight path.
Some sweepers tend to be more effective at different ways. Some can be
Mhm.
better at keeping it straight, some better at making it curl.
Mhm.
So the very cool fact about sweeping is that it varies per person, varies per sheet of ice.
Yes.
Sometimes you can make heavier shots curl, sometimes you can't at all.
Mhm.
You'll see a lot of sweepers testing that out early in these events, seeing what they
Right.
can manage to do with stones.
Mhm.
And that definitely affects the shot making that you'll see during games. But yeah, you'll hear me and Becca fairly often saying like they have the outside sweeper on
Mhm.
because they're trying to make it curl. And that's
Yep.
because the outside sweeper is already angled with the curl of the rock.
Right.
And so it's easier to have that person sweep to try to get the rock to move more.
Mhm.
And vice versa, you'll hear us say the inside sweeper because the inside sweeper is usually angled against the curl. And they'll try to prevent the rock from curling as much.
Yeah.
And of course, you want both sweepers going if the rock's light, because like we said,
Right.
the main objective, the one that we started with sweeping, is you want to make the rock go a little further.
A little bit further. Exactly. Yeah.
Kind of a long-winded explanation, but that covers pretty much all 360 degrees of sweeping.
Covers all of sweeping. Yes.
The next hard part is learning how to do it.
Yes.
It may not look too difficult to the eye, but sweeping a rock is about 30 seconds of full-on aerobic activity.
Absolutely.
It's a very interval training heavy.
Training. Yes, absolutely.
type of-
Yeah, like you'll go hard for 30 seconds and then you maybe have about a minute break while the other team throws, and then you're right back into sweep for 30 more seconds. So
And sometimes you sweep end to end for 30 seconds, then you have to throw a draw yourself, which is a lighter weight shot, so you have to take a breath
which
and
can
be able to control
difficult.
yourself.
Yeah, with your heart's racing and you're breathing heavy, so
Definitely difficult. A lot of people will see that if they try to learn to curl. We
Mhm.
show them the sweeping and they're like, oh geez, I'm already winded.
Okay,
And
yeah,
I'm like, well, try doing that 40 more times.
Exactly. It's harder than people think.
I see a lot of play over towards this corner guard.
Yeah. A lot of play towards the back of this house under this
True.
corner guard.
Can't quite see who shot. It does look like the yellow stone just behind the tee line is shot rock. That would be Team Strauss's rock. Team Jones on Abby Marquardt's last did try to come under the corner guard. Came up just shy.
Mhm.
They are biting. But currently yellow is sitting one. So the force is on for Team Strauss.
Mhm.
They would love to make Jones only score 1 point here and go into the final end up 2.
Yeah. It looks like Laney's really going to take this opportunity and get some separation between these rocks.
Someone asked if we're showing the Timo Oldenburg match at all. Currently we are not. If this game ends, we will pan over to that game for sure and give some updates. I can actually go and check the scores for you and give you guys a score update, as they've gone through a few ends since we've last looked at it. Currently, Team Oldenburg is leading 5-4 after 8 ends. Team Tuma will have the hammer in the 9th end. As for the other women's semifinal, Team Goranova is leading Team McDonald 5-1 after 8 ends. Team McDonald does have the hammer here in the 8th. See Team Strauss throwing to split the house, make it hard for Team Jones to make any play on both these yellows.
Yeah, nice shot by Laney.
It is pretty even. There's definitely no double there. We'll probably see an attempt to shrink the rings here by hitting a rolling off the rock that Laney Strauss just threw and rolling to the other side of the rings.
Yeah.
Sam Jones cleaning her rock right now. Wants to make sure there's no debris under it would cause it to pick. Looks like this rock is close. I think it'll be just outside of nose and will roll out of play. So we'll probably see Laney Strauss throw the same exact shot. Just try to split the rings, put the rocks as even as possible. See Laney Strauss clean her rock and talk to her super Sydney Mulaney and Susan Dutt. You want to make sure they're all on the same page, knowing the speeds, the lines, and everything. Seems like they have a pretty good idea of what this path will be like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Laney's rock's coming down the sheet now. Main goal here is to make sure that they are sitting 2. They don't necessarily have to be even, but sitting 2 is the most important part to
is the main
get that
goal
force
here.
going.
Absolutely.
If there is a double available, we might see Team Jones go for it.
Attempt it, yeah.
Because at this point in the game, being down 3, it might be worth the risk to try to get at least 2 out of this end. The double does appear to be there. We'll see if Team Jones elects to throw it or just take their 1. It appears that they're going to be just taking their 1 point. Nothing wrong with that. It's all up to preference for the team.
Yeah.
We hear a little commotion in the back room here. We had a player running in to use the restroom before the end is over. Super's just staying back on this one. Want to make sure it hits nose, and it does. So that'll be 1 point for Team Jones. And so the score will be 7-5. It's Team Strauss leading going into the last end.
The road to Olympic gold begins in Omaha for the nation's top men's and women's curling teams. The U.S. Olympic team trials for curling return to Baxter Arena from November 12th through the 21st. Only 2 teams can berth an Olympic bid from Omaha. Every match is a battle for a spot in Beijing's Winter Games. Get your all-session tickets on August 16th through usacurling.org. Witness medals in the making this November.
All right, we are back here with the 10th and potentially final end of this semifinal between Team Strauss and Team Jones. Team Strauss currently leads 7-5 after 9 ends of play. There was a well-played end last end. There are actually quite a few Team Jones stones in the house, more than there were Team Strauss stones. But with a well-placed freeze and some nice hit and rolls. Team Strauss was able to force Jones to 1 point.
Yep.
So now we'll see Team Jones throw a center guard. They want to try to clutter up this middle as much as possible. They need to be sitting at least 2 stones on Lainey Strauss's last shot in order to force her to throw.
We'll see. We'll see the tick attempt here by Susan Dutt.
Me and Beck are pretty much on the same page.
We're
We're about to say the same thing.
wavelength right here, yeah.
Susan Dutt sliding out now. Looks like they're throwing roughly hack weight, would you say?
Yeah.
Leah
Right out of hand.
Yeah, going hard for this one. With that free guard zone, you can't hit the guards out of play until the 5th stone comes to rest. So they really are sweeping hard to make sure this red one doesn't get hit out of play, just moved off the center line.
As much as you can.
And she'll do just that.
Yeah, that's
a great shot by Susan Dutt.
Really great tick by Suze.
Ticks are very difficult.
And very much a team shot, for sure.
Yeah, you get everyone involved. The line is difficult, the weight is difficult to hit, and the sweepers have to sweep it pretty accurately.
Absolutely.
Pretty often you'll see one sweeper sweep the whole way to hold it, and then the other sweeper will swap in to roll their shooter as far away as possible. Because you can't hit the opponent's stone out of play, but you can roll yours out of play.
Right.
So oftentimes you'll see the team that's throwing try to get their rock out of the house, or out of the playing area, or into the house.
Exactly.
Team Jones replacing that guard. We'll see Lainey walk up to hold room to throw another tick. Likely see the same weight, same type of style.
Right.
Tight ice, sweep to hold the line and roll the shooter away.
Exactly.
The one good news about ticks is that if you mess up, the rock just goes back where it was. Your rock gets taken out of play.
Exactly.
This one does look like it's a little tighter than the previous.
Sweeping hard again here.
You really want to hold this, not hit it too hard, too solid. It's going to be close.
It'll be close.
Sam Jones sweeping really hard to try to get this one to spin out. Will she get it? She will not.
Oh.
Very well made ticks by Susan Dutt.
Great ticks by Suze here. Great throws.
It's one of those moments that leads like to live up for.
Absolutely.
Those 2 shots are some of the most important of a whole game. It can really determine the outcome of the whole game, really.
The entire game, absolutely.
Because now, this is the 5th stone of the end. So after this, any rock that's in play can be removed.
Can be peeled, yeah.
So Team Jones will keep trying to replace this stone in a spot where you might see a potential jam on a side rock that was just ticked.
Right.
And Team Strauss will continuously peel here, trying to keep the center clear for Lainey's last.
Exactly.
Lainey calling the peel for Sydney Mulaney on the intern side. I believe they'll try to hit it over top of the yellow that's kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
On the above the 8-foot. Taking this one hard. Looks like it will just go right over that yellow.
Great shot.
It actually catches the one of the tick stones too.
A little bit of bonus.
In the Tuma versus Oldenburg game, Team Tuma was forced to 1 in the 9th. So the score is tied, and Oldenburg has hammer in the 10th. And then if we head over to the other women's semifinal, Team Goranova leads 5-3 over Team McDonald after 9 ends, and Team Goranova will have hammer. So actually, very similar situation to the sheet we're on.
Yeah, absolutely.
The team up 2 with the hammer. It looks like on that sheet, there was at least 1 tick made, if not 2. Kind of hard to tell with the setup.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Mulaney with another intern peel. This is Dutt sweeping hard to hold the line where it is. They will hit about, I'd say, 7/8 of the rock and roll in front of the other corner guard, the red one.
Yeah, get it out of the way just enough that Team Jones won't really be able to do a lot with it.
Both those guards are far enough over where I don't think they're covering anything.
Mm-hmm,
Maybe
exactly.
just the very edge of the 12-foot.
Very edge, right.
But that's a space that Lainey Strauss isn't too worried about at the moment.
Exactly.
She just wants to make sure she has at least one draw path into the 4-foot.
Mm-hmm.
Over at the other women's semifinal, I believe it is Team McDonald sitting 2. There are 2 corner guards. One of their rocks is in the back 4-foot, just behind the tee line. Another one that they just threw is biting the top 12. Both are open, not buried behind guards.
Right.
So currently, Team Goranova is calling for the double takeout and potentially roll into the house. In the Oldenburg-Tuma game, I believe that it is Oldenburg sitting 1 in the top 12, just a little bit left of the center line. There is a yellow biter on the right side in front of the 8-foot, and there's also a red potential biter on the far left of the house, just biting the 12-foot.
Just biting.
Team Tuma is currently putting a 3-guard frozen to the rock on the 12-foot. We saw another peel made over on our sheet.
Yep, nice peel by Leo Yavaro.
And now we see Sam Jones putting the broom down to come behind the 2 corners that we see on the far left of our far left of the sheet.
Yep.
Sweeper's not too close to this one. I might believe it's a little heavy. They really would like this one to stop in the house. Otherwise, Team Strauss will have a chance to freely peel a rock. Looks like it'll be close.
It will.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It
It
will
should
stick
stop.
around in the rings.
It's about 3/4 into the 12-foot. It's wide open, but you'll probably see Team Strauss attempt the peel here. No need to chase it, especially if it's wide open in the house. See them discussing which turn they want to throw on this peel. Because it's a yellow rock first, they're a little less concerned about accidentally jamming it into the house.
Right.
Looks like they will elect to throw the in turn on the far outside of the sheet. Leo Yavaro throwing. They'd love to at least get the yellow rock out. Getting the red is a bonus. They will just peel the single yellow. That's plenty fine for what they were looking for. Over on the other women's semifinal, the double was not made. They peeled out one of the yellows. Team McDonald replaced it a little further into the house. And they are, Team Goranova is attempting the double again. This is Anna O'Hara's first stone, this double. Team McDonald does need to be sitting 2 on their next shot to force Anna to throw her last. In the Oldenburg-Tuma game, currently Team Tuma is sitting behind the red rock that we talked about just to the left of center line in the 12-foot. They are sitting what looks to be just behind T-line in the 8-foot.
Yep.
It is fully buried, so there's no way to hit it directly, so we will see Team Oldenburg electing to throw the drawdown to it, try to freeze. It is Aiden Oldenburg's first shot at the end. Team Jones throwing the draw around the corner, the red corner on the far left. You can see both stones. The double is not available due to the first stone being probably 3/4 buried. Or 3/4 open, either way.
Yes.
See Lainey Strauss and Leo Yavaro deciding what they want to throw. Looks like they're looking to throw a freeze down to it. I don't mind this.
Yeah, I like this call. Gives her a good practice for draw weight if she needs to throw one on her last.
And I do see another question in the chat with someone answering, but we'll reiterate it for anyone not reading the chat.
Okay.
Someone asked what would happen if both teams have the same score at the end of the 10th end. So if they're tied, there would be an extra end, an 11th end, where the score would continue as it normally would during a game. If one team scored, the other team will have the hammer then.
Yep.
And they will play a full end of curling like they normally would, just one extra end, another 15 minutes.
Exactly.
Randy Strauss sliding out, looking to freeze to the Reds on the side. Sweeper's indicating it might be a little heavy. I wouldn't have minded seeing a hit here on one of the stones. Team Jones does need to score 2 to tie. So if you remove one of these stones, of which we know there are 2 that are at least partially open, then all that Lainey would have to do on her last is hit one out.
It's just hit one out. Which they did end up bumping that red in the back house there.
They did. They bumped it just out of play. And I believe Team Strauss is sitting 1 just barely.
I think you're right, yeah.
So Team Jones will be forced to come down to it, move it a little bit. I'm sure they'd love to make it more so of a freeze, keep that yellow there, so Lainey Strauss will not have a directly open hit.
Right.
But even so, it looks like you have at least half of the red that's closer to the T line there. So Lainey Strauss will most likely have an open hit for the win there.
Yeah.
Over on sheet 2, Kevin Tuma was a little bit heavy on his freeze attempt.
Yep.
And left Team Oldenburg sitting 1. That was a tie game, I believe. So Team Oldenburg will win over Team Kevin Tuma.
And play Team Casper in the final tomorrow.
Yeah, Team Oldenburg will, just to
yes.
clarify.
Yeah, just to clarify, right.
Which means we will see Team Kevin Tuma play Team Wendling in the bronze medal game tomorrow.
Yep.
We also saw handshakes over on our feature sheet. Team Strauss will win over Team Jones in the 10th end. The Team Strauss will move on to the women's final tomorrow at 10 a.m. And it looks like also handshakes on sheet 5. I believe Team Goranova has won the game.
Yep. Handshakes there as well.
So tomorrow's finals for playing for the gold medal, we'll have Danny Casper versus Aiden Oldenburg. And on the men's side. And on the women's side, we'll have Lainey Strauss versus Catherine Goranova.
Yep. It'll be some good curling.
And that'll be tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central Time. And we'll be there to commentate for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hope to see you there.
Oh, great. The show's starting.
Come on. Just trust me.
Oh, trust you, like with the dollar oysters.
I don't think those were oysters.
You survived, so...
Wait, we can't go that way.
Watch this. They'll think we're VIP. Wow. He does think we're VIP. And backstage. Trust me now?
I never doubted you. I did for a second, but it's gone now. I trust you.
The all-new Sienna.